Babe, I haven't done anything. All right, oh, sorry, I didn't know if I was. I should be live. If you could just tune in, make sure you guys can hear yourselves. A handsome looking creep right there. Why? Oh my God.
I'll be cruising in my lane fast, call it high speed. I've been working hard, yeah, I've been working nightly. If you think you'll win, ha, not fucking likely. I be taking shots, yeah, cold-blooded, icy. Watching numbers grow is what I call sightseeing. In the front row, run it up when they hype me. The following grows, they know how to ignite me. Call me CEO, I've been running shit right, see. And I ain't playing games, I create my own lane, making pleasure out of pain, turning losses into gains, I'm the boss, I'm making change. I've been rocking this exchange, popping off and risking things, gonna make a fucking name. I just wanna be famous, but I don't want that cheap fame. No, I'm not that vain, I just wanna be greatness.
Yeah, of course I have a maid outfit. You're a streamer. Where's yours?
I have a robe.
You were...
I have like a little monk robe.
Okay, I'm going off every chance I get. I don't really take a loss, well, I'll admit. That's why I'll make it to the top, yeah, I commit. And no, I'm never getting lost, I get after it. Investing in my own stock, cause it's faster than any crypto hits go that we spend. Everything that you see is something I invent.
Oh shit. Yeah, I don't know. They recruited me, bro. I'm new. I'm new to the game. They just recruited me, dude. Sorry. Yeah. I'm kind of seeing that too, bud.
I don't miss a thing or regret it. I'm always learning. You could call me academic. I'm always working. Never been apathetic. Bad energy is like a poison. Needs some antiseptic.
They're running. Push in, everybody, go. Someone get on their mate, please.
I pushed the mate on the end.
A handsome looking creep right there. Why? Oh my God.
I'll be cruising in my lane fast, call it high speed. I've been working hard, yeah, I've been working nightly. If you think you'll win, ha, not fucking likely. I be taking shots, yeah, cold-blooded, icy. Watching numbers grow is what I call sightseeing. In the front row, run it up when they hype me. The following grows, they know how to ignite me. Call me CEO, I've been running shit right, see. And I ain't playing games, I create my own lane, making pleasure out of pain, turning losses into gains, I'm the boss, I'm making change. I've been rocking this exchange, popping off and risking things, gonna make a fucking name. I just wanna be famous, but I don't want that cheap fame. No, I'm not that vain, I just wanna be greatness.
Yeah, of course I have a maid outfit. You're a streamer. Where's yours?
I have a robe.
You were...
I have like a little monk robe.
I get. I don't really take a loss, well, I'll admit. That's why I'll make it to the top, yeah, I commit. And no, I'm never getting lost, I get after it. Investing in my own stock, cause it's faster than any crypto hits go.
There's a bunch of fucking losers,
Everything
man.
that
What
you
are you
see,
doing now?
something I invent.
Oh shit. Yeah, I don't know. They recruited me, bro.
Gonna take shots.
I'm new. I'm new to the game. They just recruited me, dude. Sorry.
To learn all this
I'll
in
do
it,
that,
I'm
it
taking
happens, but trust me, they're a bunch of fucking losers.
Yeah. I'm kind of seeing that too, bud.
I never back up, I don't miss a thing or regret it. I'm always learning, you could call me academic. I'm always working, never been apathetic. Bad energy is like a poison, need some antiseptic.
Sorry, I did it again. All right, sorry, I was muted. I always do this. I'm sorry. Mortal Portal Podcast. Welcome, guys. These guys are gonna go ahead and introduce themselves. Robmo will start since he volunteered last time. NVII. Didn't you make a video like back in beta where you like multi-box like the Fat Mage or something? Didn't you make a video like that or something? You're muted. There's no way. Really? Wait, say something? Bro. God damn it. Why does this shit always happen? No, it's my fucking sound settings. Hold on 1 second, guys. 1 second. I got it, don't worry. I'm pretty sure. Oh, hold on, guys. Let's see. Why does this always happen, bro? Yeah. Just gonna set everything to default. I don't know. We'll see if it works. Okay. Try this. Alright, so say something, guys? No. Why the fuck does this shit never work, bro? I'm so done with streaming, dude. Mm. I don't know. Let's try voice mirror. No, but it's still going. Alright. Broadcast is up. This one, yep. Aux input. Say something, guys. 1 second. Alright. It's moving on the stream now. I have to see if they can hear you. There's like a delay, so. Can you guys hear them in the Discord? We can't hear them. What the fuck? So how do I push everything into audio? Real quick. I just don't want to deal with this. All right, try talking, guys, real quick. Nope. Fuck me, dude. Give me 1 sec. I can't even test it without the stream being on either. Yeah, so in the OBS it's not moving at all. Mhm.
It up the same as that.
Okay, wait. I think they can hear you now. Can you guys hear? Did you guys hear Robmo?
Oh, yeah. Did you hear me?
Because I put it on default and then it started moving.
Oh,
Okay, they can hear you. All right,
Oh,
I'm not
there we
gonna worry
go.
about separating the audio right now. I'll figure it out later. Jesus
Okay.
Christ, dude.
Sick.
Ah.
Okay.
All right, cool. Anyway, so I'm just gonna
Just make sure
introduce
you
them.
can hear the others though, just in case.
Yeah, Adolin or FreeHorses. I
Hear me?
don't know why I wouldn't. But...
Baba Booey.
All right, so we got FreeHorses from VII, Adolin from Kodo, and Robmo. Are you affiliated with Guild or no?
Me? I have a dead guild, to be perfectly
Okay.
honest.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. We could talk about that later if you want.
Yeah, sure. So what do you guys want to talk about first? Like, does anyone have anything they really want to talk about? Just get it out there, go type thing, or
Why on earth is it 1.5 times Mounted Mage?
I actually don't really have an answer for that. I wasn't even personally involved in that decision, and that's not really me like trying to deflect. It's just like I don't really have input. When I kind of inquired a bit, Henrik and the team got a lot of feedback from mages, and I guess that's why they made the decision. But in terms of why they went on that and not 1.75 or kept it the same, I don't really have any input there. I'm sorry.
Do you think it's a good change?
I don't know. I think it comes down to because like they're built to like fat mages on horses. They're built to like do like big damage drive-bys. You know what I mean? And so you've kind of made it so they have like so much more DPS, and I think it can come down to a good fat mage versus a bad fat mage, right? So if you have a bunch of bad fat mages, it's probably great for them, especially on the PvE side. But when you have people who are better at the game, better at the hit scan stuff, it's probably just such a big buff from them that it probably doesn't go well. I have noticed more people playing as fat mages, so yeah, I'm kind of in the middle. I'd have to see more data. I don't think it's fair because I don't play fat mage. So
I mean, if you buff anything, it's gonna get played more, right? I mean, that
yeah,
doesn't mean it's broken per se, just because there's more
no,
people playing it.
no,
I
of
mean,
course not.
I'm sure there's people in here who would argue it is broken, but that's not my point. I'm from an unbiased point of view. Like, even though I play Fat Mage, I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying just because more people are playing it doesn't mean it's necessarily broken. Just like if you buff pole swords, more people would play pole swords, right? You know what I mean? Like anything. So
Yeah, I kind of wish they would do like a more of a like under level things.
someone
They
just
first
said pole
implement-
swords in chat.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's okay. I was just gonna say, I think a better way to go about it is if you kind of like be more cautious with stuff, because if you make things too powerful, then it's kind of like unfun for others if they're not playing it or they don't choose to play it or whatever. Like pets, for example. I'm actually really trying to get pets nerfed. I have a little project that I have to do because some pets are just hitting way too much on steel, and especially the top end pets. Like the white bear, brown bear, terror bird, turtles.
Do you think
Trying.
it's
How did
more-
Solano not get in there?
I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
how does that one not fall into that category?
Do you
Yeah,
think it's
no.
more of like the damage or the ease of access at which you acquire that damage?
Right now, it's probably a bit of both. Like, I think pets could personally. I think if you skewed the damage down and skewed their speed a little bit, and then pet owners had tools or like ways to actually skillfully use their attacks. Beast Mastery is supposed to do that based on what I'm going to be really upset if they're just like, yeah, we just added attacks, because I'm anticipating it being a complete rework, because Henrik's been talking about that, and you know, I enjoy playing a tamer thematically, but in times, depending on the situation, it can be easy. So
I think it's more like the gripe people have with tames is not necessarily the damage. It's just you vaguely aim at somebody, you press one button, and it does
yeah,
all the work.
yeah, it's a problem. I agree. No, I have no hesitation there. Like, there's a couple things I could think of that could even make it better. So, you could do it where you have to tap every attack. You could do it where
Oh Jesus Christ!
um, you have like you choose the directions. So if you want like a overhead, I guess you could say, it will always overhead attack, and then you have to switch it by selecting and whatnot. I don't know what's perfect. It's just there are ways they could do it now, but I think that the big changes aren't happening until Beast Mastery. But I'm trying to convince Henrik that like people are playing the game now. There are people who experience the game now, and pets generally take a lot of that like skillful gameplay out of the game, and it's a problem. I mean, you could um, when you're in like small group fights, if you have good spacing with your pets and stuff, like they're in the back end kind of thing. I think a lot of people play it wrong too. So like people who complain that pets get melted, it's because they just send it into a crowd. Like I don't know what you expect when you send it face first in front of your line to do that. Like they're gonna get melted, and so that's just my opinion though. Like I don't, I can't say I'm an expert at perfect balance, but
Real quick, thank you J45K for the raid. Appreciate it.
Mhm.
I mean, I think pets are going to be insanely hard to balance in general. I don't think it's a quick, easy fix. And I think, I don't know, maybe I'm just speaking for me, but I could be speaking for a lot of people with this when I say, like, I think Starvolt in the past, like, whenever you guys, I say you guys, I don't know if that's correct, but whatever, Starvolt in general, when you
It's fine.
guys, or whoever, they change something, it's always like a huge change. It's never like 5%, 10%. Like, you know what I mean? Like the mage cast, for example, on mounted. Like you went from 2x down to 1.5x. Like that's a pretty big margin, you know what I mean?
That
That's
is
like
big, yeah.
25% of the total cast now on mounted. And then, the concentration went I think from 40 to 70. I could be wrong. It was like 40 or 50. Yeah, I think it was 40 to 70, you know what I mean? Like fuck. Sorry, I gotta turn that off. That's so fucking loud. Jesus Christ.
Oh, the raid.
Yeah, no, not the raid. Someone played Never Gonna Give You Up sound alert thing.
Funny.
Well,
I
I
have to
think it
turn them
really
off every time, but
it comes from not an understanding of what the class is for, right? Because like the Fat Mage thing, for example, the whole point of the class was you're giving up all mobility so that you can do huge burst damage. But the caveat to that is you no longer can walk, so you need to use a horse. While on a horse, it limits your damage potential by limiting your casting. So the whole point of a Fat Mage was you charge up really hard hitting spells that take a long time to cast. You go in there, you go and do it, then you get out. And by lowering the cast time to 1.5, you have eliminated the basic thing that was limiting the class to begin with.
I think what I would have rather seen than like even both the concentration and the cast time is being able to turn while casting. Because that shit is so annoying when you're just going in one direction. And yeah, the increased cast time obviously affects that more, having to go in the same direction for longer. But I would have rather been able to turn and just have the same cast time than having a decreased cast time, being able to nuke harder faster, and even the concentration buff. You know what I mean? Because the concentration buff wouldn't be so bad, like where it was at 40 or 50, whatever it was, when you're fighting MAs, if you're just able to turn and actually dodge. You know what I mean? It's when you're going in a straight line and he's like pinging you, then obviously the concentration is going to matter a lot more.
It didn't in MO1 when you hit like the horse, it would stop the cast. Isn't that
There was a chance for interruption, yes, and you could not heal the horse while on the horse.
Hmm.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. Like, you guys have no idea how good you have it now.
I mean, I think that's part of the issue though is the fat mages are invincible right now with the concentration buff. I wouldn't even say it's the damage is the issue. It's the healing output is the fact that it takes 3 MAs to kill one mounted fat mage that has mediocre steel horse armor and the average level horse.
The reason that is because there's no dismount mechanics. In the
Exactly.
first game, if you wanted to kill a fat mage, you EQ'd the fat mage, or you had an MC come by with a hammer and knock him off the horse.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
It's
And
a
then
half baked system.
yeah. Star Vault has a bad. Uh, they kind of balance things for the future, and it's something I really don't like. I think I said that last time here, and it's like, oh yeah, another mechanic's coming, but again, players are playing now, right? And I think there's two issues with it, or maybe even it's just one. I think it's partly like a manpower issue because like if you make changes to a system to accommodate current balance, and then you have to kind of like rewrite that later. We are not a big team, but I'm not trying to make excuses, but I think that's the logic behind a lot of those kind of decisions. At least I hope so. Um, but those are my thoughts there.
So how do they
Speaking,
decide to
okay.
change mounted mages? Right? How did the decision come to? They enough people complained, or do they look at percentage of population playing a specific class? How do they go about deciding what to change? Right?
There is a data approach, but I do think that a lot of the changes come from like feedback, more than just like pure data. It depends. So like I know with weapons, for example, weapons they look at um, the data, how many people use them and stuff. When it came, like I said, with the fat mage change or the mage change, I think it just came from a lot of feedback. Um, and like I said, I had some people at least come to me and talk about the fat mage stuff, but I didn't personally push a fat mage change. If that's so, it didn't really come from me or me collecting feedback kind of thing. So at least myself.
I'm
before we
curious, like
move,
where the feedback would have came from, because like as before the fat mage, there was like no fat mages. Like it was like pretty rare. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe just where I play. I don't know. But do you guys see a lot of fat mages before the fat
I
mage buff?
I think I knew maybe two the entire time.
Right. Like it was
Uh,
not like a popular build.
It depends where you are. I think there's a lot more fat mages than Bhakti, for example. I could be wrong on that. I just in that area I'd see them more, like the jungle. Um, and yeah, I like so like how I collect feedback. Obviously, I get the DMs. My Discord DMs are always open, and I tend to I try my best to read everything. I do read everything. I reply to most things, even if it's just like thank you, you know. But there's that, of course, and then I read the forums, I read the Reddits, I read multiple discords and stuff to try to kind of get a more balanced approach. And whenever I give feedback, though, I try to give kind of two sides of the story, maybe the more popular side, and by popular I mean maybe more frequent, and then I kind of look at the opposite. It says, okay, like if you do this it affects this, you know um so, like for example, the Red Priest changed a while back. I kind of like really fought Henrik on that one, and he got so annoyed he just told me to stop. So, uh, at least
you
like a Jungle Priest and the Jungle Camp and the Cave Camp
That
being
was
blue.
terrible. Still is, by the way.
Yeah, I don't think it's a great
doesn't make
idea.
sense, but
Yeah, that's just my opinion. But I know it's not just my opinion. A lot of people have that opinion. But you know, I don't have this magical brush that I could sway decisions. I definitely have influence. Like I'm not saying I don't, but I really try to keep my personal opinion out when I make a suggestion. Um,
Yeah, you try to come at it from an unbiased point of view.
I try. I mean, yeah. I mean, I am human, obviously, but like I
Mhm.
said, I play tamer. That's my main. I do have a foot fighter, but I kind of want tamers to be nerfed because, or like pets at least, because they're strong. Like
Yeah.
well,
they're
that's
very
what I'm
strong.
saying, right? Like, you have played the class, right, and you know the weaknesses and the benefits of it.
Hmm.
So your feedback would be more appropriate than, let's just say, some random guy who's
Yeah,
just started playing the class and goes, I really don't like this. So do
yeah.
you take feedback based on the amount of people that say something or the quality of the people that are saying it?
It's a bit of both. Like amount can make a difference because, like, the game has numbers, of course, but like not all feedback is equal, unfortunately. And I'm sorry if that offends anyone, but There are players who've been playing the game for a long time and they have a better understanding of like around the mechanics. But you also got to think of like people who are, you want to appeal to more people, obviously. Like, I'm not saying we're not going to turn this into WoW or anything like that, but you know, the game's not going to be success if in the end there's only 300 people playing, you know? So you need to kind of have a balance. But I do look at the quality of the feedback myself. Like I said, um, that's, and again, I try my best. You know, I get hundreds of messages a day, and I try to kind of categorize it all, write it down, and but you know,
I
it's not. Go ahead.
I'm just curious, real quick, just so we know what everyone plays. Like, I literally have a build for everything. I have like 3 different foot fighters. I have a fat mage, a dex mage, an MA. I'm curious, Adolin, what builds do you play?
I only have one account, and it's Ogner Foot Fighter with like a little bit of MA. Used to be
Okay.
MC back when it was like actually viable, but here we are.
Um,
Yeah.
and then FreeHorses is a fat mage, and then Robmo, you said you're a foot fighter and a tamer. Are you like a mounted mage tamer or just like a dex?
No, I'm a Dex Mage Tamer.
Okay.
So I haven't decided if I'm going to drop Domination or Taming or keep them both. It's kind of keeping them both has a bad drawback, I guess. But I also have a Foot Fighter, which I'm trying to play more. And I'm trying to kind of join groups and do more PvP because I'm kind of tired of waiting for my guild to come back. They're waiting for UE5 now, so I'm like, oh, okay.
Was that announced?
I mean, not no specific time. Like I don't even have a vague idea. They just one of my guild leader, he was an MO1 guy, and he's just like, yeah, I kind of been playing, and I don't want to burn myself out because I'm doing a lot of solo stuff.
Hmm.
So
I have a question. It's more like
let me
a
know if you.
um, but like, what I don't understand like Starvolt's like what they're going for with town PvP. For instance, like Lictor Guards seems like completely anti PvP. Is it like their design that like specific parts of town are supposed to be like hostile versus other parts? Because like some parts of town you'll run into Lictors, other parts you won't. And like it comes off like a half measure with everything regarding like, do you want PvP in towns, yes or no? You know what I mean? And then we get
Yeah,
kind of like a maybe, seems like.
yeah, it's okay. So I'll try to answer this best I can from how I understand it. So this is a big thing with game masters as well that are frustrated, like Discord, because obviously LGM Discord, he gets tickets and people get killed in town, and then they cry the GMs and why am I killed in town? It's like, well, it's a sandbox PvP game.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's wrong. So I feel like if they wanted towns to be perfectly safe, they would have created a system for that. But the idea is that towns are almost safe, okay, and that you could still have the ability to kill people. I think there is like somewhat of a plan or a draft, and this is going to upset some people, that they want to put like patrolling guards, but
Mm.
they want to do it in a like he said it before, kind of like a Eve low sec, high sec kind of thing. And so as you get farther away from the cities, there's not going to be as many. But I think right now implementation is an issue because of the node lines and certain things. So they'd have to design it to kind of accommodate that. But it's not going to be like if you're, uh, I don't know, if you're like 4,000 meters away from a dually, it's going to be like a high guard zone. There might just be like a couple like guards patrolling or something in the distance, and they could walk by that area. You know what I mean? So you'd have to like plan it. I think that's what he wants to do. But it's because I've been asking him like, is this happening? Like, is that? But I think there's a bit of a problem with designing it for the code, and the node lines. So because like as we all know, node lines are not great, so they cause issues when AI can cross it and stuff, especially like patterns of walking and things like that. So
I have two questions to bounce off you for this.
yeah, sure.
So, if the general consensus is PvP in towns is not necessarily, I don't know, not necessarily endorsed, but is okay to do, you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Then why did a GM spawn guards on the Omerta guys near MK Bridge? And then number two, why are Starval not planning for thievery in the future? because it seems like no matter where you are in the town, when thievery comes, if you steal something, you go gray. And then the whole point of thievery is to make a really fast character to run away. So how
Mhm.
is that ever going to happen if the guards are literally everywhere?
Okay, so the answer your first question, I think I remember what situation you're talking about. It was people were losing like trinkets and stuff. I think that was just a decision based on like again, this was the game masters, especially Discord. They'll make calls, right? And trust me, Discord. He doesn't like interfering with the game, like he at all, because it's a sandbox. Like he respects that as best as he can. But I think what it came down to was just Star Vault having kind of a flawed decision to put the um, the enchanter NPCs in that spot without proper guards. Um, I mean, do I think it's right or wrong? I'm kind of in the middle. You know, people were losing thousands of hours of work, but again, Mortal Online, or not maybe sorry, not thousands of hours of work, but they were losing trinkets worth lots and lots of money, and I guess that can constitute hours and hours of work. But how do I put it? At the same time, it's like, well, maybe you don't take guys with you when you're transporting town. So I wasn't like I'm in the middle. I kind of see it from both sides. I know that's kind of a wishy-washy answer. I'm sorry. I think it just comes to down to having a more clear. Okay, banks have lictors. Maybe these guys have lictors. You know what? Like better design that way. That I think that would be a better way to do it. Because
Well,
I like the. Oh, go ahead.
sorry. Go ahead and finish.
I was just gonna say I do like the idea of towns having shadier spots. Like it makes sense. Like yeah, don't go down Murder Alley because you'll get murdered. Like that's cool. Like I think that's great. But some towns are smaller than others, right? Like with Bhakti or Fabernum or some of the other curate smaller towns. They're just smaller, so it's harder to do that. Sorry, the second part of your question had to do with
So in the first
thievery.
game, thieving, when
Yeah.
you
Okay.
it's when somebody saw you take something or attempt to take something and you failed, you turned gray. And then the whole point after that was to run into a spot that the guards wouldn't go so you can get away, run out your timer, and then you can come back. How is that ever going to work if there is literally guards everywhere to the point that you can't even walk anywhere without dying?
Well, they're probably going to have to shift guard placement, really, or or add a slums to the towns or something. I feel like placing the guards or removing or adjusting the guard patrols is probably the easier solution. Um, I have thought about that. Thievery isn't really in my eyesight right now, simply because I don't know when it's coming. So I haven't like sat and really thought about it. But that does make sense, and that's a valid point because. Uh, I know they're rethinking some of the thievery mechanics from MO1, but I don't know in what ways. I haven't seen the design docs for that or anything. So,
What?
Well, the only
And
reason I ask is because thievery, like, I know a ton of people that are one again come back specifically for thievery.
oh, for sure.
And if it is busted on launch, then you're going to lose all those people,
I,
especially for a half measure of we don't want PvP in town in this area, so we're going to put a ton of guards here. You know what I mean?
yeah, I'm sorry taking up the mic, but I really don't like the half measure or half implemented stuff. I think it's something they need to stop. I talked to them about it. Now, I know we haven't really, and by we I mean Star Vault, we've only been doing these like little patches since we're like we're changing our approach, and these patches are all mostly bug fixes, fixing some deep issues and then adding small bits of content. Um, when our next patch or next patches come out and it's, let's say, a bigger feature like thievery, which is a giant feature, i I mean, I'm personally going to push to make sure that it's complete, because I don't think that's what the players want to see anymore. I could probably say that with confidence. It's like for bounty hunting. um uh, I was really upset they didn't even have like a basic cape for them, like just something, like I begged for it. I was like, why don't we just take a cape, the red cape, do it dark blue like a Corvian, and just add an NPC, and it's like 10 coins or something, just something to make bounty hunter, worth going into, because the coins you can't trade or anything, so players would have to engage with that to get the cape. I guess unless they traded it or something, but still, but they just didn't. So it's frustrating for sure.
Well, I think like it's really hard, and I mean I know you have whatever schedule or structure, like whoever's working on what, but it's really hard to design anything. I feel like in the game because everything's gonna come back towards like sieging and TC in general. So like if someone controls this town, maybe you don't need all these guards anyways because a guild is supposed to be controlling them, as far as I understand it. At least that's how it worked in MO1. So like you could just essentially blacklist people. I don't know if blacklists are coming back, but you know what I mean? Like I feel like the fundamental like core of the game is TC and stuff.
Oh,
So
absolutely. Oh, I agree. Like that's why, again, this might upset the thievery people, but I feel like TC. I think everyone feels like TC and sieging should probably come first as soon as we can before anything, because everything's gonna have to be designed around that. You know,
yeah.
it's kind of like right now we're having just a bit of insight. There's GMs get a lot of tickets for stuck pets. A lot of it's legitimate. A lot of it's people trying to trick the GMs, being like, "Oh, I left my turtle in the jungle. Oh, Mo," and
Mhm.
they don't do anything about that. But um, there are some things they could do to make pets stick to the owners more. But we had a conversation about it in one of our meetings, or at least at the end of our meetings, and I was worried. I was like, "Well, if you make the pet stick to the owners, when you send it to attack, it's going to be more cancerous against people. Like you can't do that." So I said that is something you have to figure out, because if you make it that way, then you have to design mechanics to counter that around that system. And so that's just smaller scale of what I'm talking about with TC and sieging. But I do agree that everything will revolve around your territory control and the sieging, and be able to build towns with the blacklist, whitelist, things like that. And so thievery should probably be built around that versus it being built and then TC coming out with a little bit of shifts that make thievery obsolete or different, you know?
I I think it was a screenshot. I saw something or heard something that Hendrik was saying that when TC comes out, no one's gonna start on a head start essentially, except for people with castles already, obviously. But like, there's gonna be like another currency. Like, is it like the prominence from MO1, or can you talk about that at all, or no?
I'm not gonna lie, I haven't seen the design of TC at all. Like not even a little
Is
bit.
there any?
I
Oh
assume
shit!
there is.
Oh,
No, I assume there is. I just, I don't have direct access to all the design docs all the time. Um, and I just don't have any input. Like I try to focus on like what's now for me, like my job and what I do, and when I help with the test team and stuff. But um, I haven't seen the design. I've seen like drafts of like the siege machines and stuff. And but and we've talked in the past internally a little bit about TC and stuff, but I think it's the strokes are so broad that I can't say anything with confidence, you know? Like you asked about blacklist and whitelist. I'm pretty sure permissions and all that kind of stuff is included in the whole TC thing.
Wait, what's a whitelist?
Like I assume like the way I would look at it, it's
If
like,
they're
oh, if you have
negative
a
rep?
probably, or a whitelist, like, oh, they can enter this building because I allowed them to, or enter these facilities in the city because you make your little cities, right?
I can't see Starvault coding individual buildings for whitelist. No offense.
God,
I
no
don't see
chance.
that.
No,
That's like
maybe
5
it's
years
not
down the
individual
line.
buildings. I'm just using an example, though, right? Like,
Okay.
or like for priests, for example, priests maybe people complain that, oh, if someone home priests in my priest, they can home priest there. And I do think if they move the priest or pick it up, that should get dropped. But maybe you shouldn't have left your door open to let them get in.
I
Like
mean, that's impossible though, because a spiritualist, dedicated guy, doesn't have to be a spiritualist. Can just sit at your door for 4 or 5 hours. You don't get to go in your building now because there's that possibility.
well, I mean, I understand that point of view, but that's the spiritist build. That's part of
Oh,
the
but they
sandbox,
don't
right?
need to be a spiritualist. He can just be dead and just sit at your door because they still see
Oh, true.
doors open.
Mm. Yeah,
So He
Yeah,
doesn't even have
no,
to spec into anything.
no, that's fair. That's fair. But I do think, like, for example, the priests and the equerries at the houses, that was kind of put in. I don't want to say as an afterthought, but it was put in because like people requested to be able to like spawn at their houses or spawn at their strongholds and have pets. And I do think that if they would have waited till TC, the game would probably not be in a good spot for that because it does add a little bit of gameplay. And instead of like making like a half-ass permission system in the game to facilitate this kind of gameplay before TC, they probably just waiting. I can say they are working. We have brought up the issue where like if someone picks up their priest in their stronghold, it should probably wipe all the home
Yes,
priests.
please,
Yeah, like
please.
they are looking at that. I know Henrik is kind of adamant that that gets changed, so it might be in one of our next sprints.
Or,
For
just throwing this out there, just make the guild like the priests have permissions or like guild only, like anything, because like it's so easy to like grieve someone if they're
yeah,
like
my
living
worry
out
is
their
that I
stronghold.
don't think they'll do like permissions until the TC stuff drops. But I could push it. I think it has value. So
Can we please make it so that if you get locked in somebody's house and you're inside the house, you can open the door?
yeah, that's I kind of agree with that because it kind of eliminates like weird gameplay and also like GM stuff and all that. Um,
Because the meta right now is to get a horse and glitch out of it.
yeah, and that is bannable actually. So you shouldn't do that.
Or just
um,
log off and wait. I mean, it
Is
doesn't add
crawl?
anything.
Are you allowed to kill yourself and have a friend crawling hands your loot bag out of the building? Is that
yeah,
allowed? That is. Okay.
crawling hands outside buildings is allowed. I brought this up in testing very, very early, and he's like, Henrik straight up was like, "Yeah, that was part of the meta in ML1, and that's what we want to do." And I'm like, "Okay,
You don't
so
even
yeah,
need to do that. You could just slash loot.
if
Yeah,
you have to
kill
be,
yourself at the door. Yeah.
yeah, you have to be very close, but you can do that. But yeah, crawling hands through buildings, that's completely legal.
Okay.
I'd be very surprised if something different happened from that. Here.
Speaking of rules, how do you feel about a something being legal one day and people continue to do it up until the next day, and then it's arbitrarily decided the next day it's not legal anymore, and they get banned for it?
I wish it didn't happen. Um, because obviously I did this last week and there was no problem. There's two things about it. I mean, obviously things do change and that sucks. I do wish we had a more central way to kind of, and this is what I've been asking for, a central way to kind of talk about like what's legal and not. And it's a sandbox, so you don't want to put arbitrary rules, obviously, especially when it's the code, it's like a coding error or like a game design error, of course, right? um there's I think when they put their foot down is when it can really affect like the economy, or like maybe like a heavy balance thing. Like I said, I really wish it didn't happen because I could see why people feel burned about that. But the reality is, things do change, and sometimes it takes a while for, um, and it shouldn't, but it takes a while for people to make decisions. Now, uh, if I'm like thinking about my timeline, around May, we kind of changed the way we communicate internally, how we do meetings, how we assign tasks, how we promote and push tasks, that kind of thing. And there's been a much better improvement in communication. So, and again, it's not absolutely perfect, but we've been, I think we've been addressing these kind of stuff a lot faster. For example, I mean, there's like a whole team meeting every Monday. It's more related to like working on the patch, but we talk about stuff and I bring up live issues or whatever. And then I also have like a bi-weekly meeting with LGM Discord and like Henrik and some of the lead programmers and lead guys about like the live status of the server, and that includes things like banned rules, or whatever, like bugs or something that's really affecting the community or the server as a whole.
Like, I understand if, let's just say, there's a change in policy, right? And the next day you come out and say, listen, we changed our minds for whatever reason. Any time after whatever time we post this, you continue to do it, then you'll be banned. But for example, when the Spiritists were killing the bosses by themselves because the bosses didn't lose or didn't regain HP at the time, so you
Mhm.
would spirit in, hit him a bunch of times, it would kill you, then you go back in the portal. That was within the sandbox, and many people had asked Discord and everybody else, "Hey, this is in the rules," and he said yes. And then the next day, well, not really the next day, but hypothetically the next day, they get banned, and then they make the rule that you can't do that. The same thing with stream sniping. They asked Discord very exclusively, "Hey, is this okay?" He said yes. The next day, they continue to do it, and then they get warned that if they continue to do it, they're going to get banned. So I'm just asking. I understand there's policy changes. I understand that people have a change of heart in terms of what is legal, what is not legal within the sandbox. But it's this inconsistency of we've changed our minds, but we're not going to tell you until we ban you. That kind of thing.
Yeah. So, um, LGM Discord, for example, hates rule changes in the sense unless they're posted, and I can understand why because he doesn't like doing it at all. Like it's not he doesn't want someone to get in trouble or punished for something that isn't really announced or something's changed, and I can completely agree with that in a lot of cases like that too. So in May we rewrote the ban system, made it a little bit more clear on like how the punishment works at least. And for example, if there's like a change of policy and someone just gets caught in that like window, we generally don't strike the person, so that doesn't like go on their record as like, oh, they have 3 strikes or whatever. um but I do understand that. Now I try, and I've learned from this. I've been burned. I try not to answer questions on what's legal, what's not. I just try to push it to LGM Discord because at the end of the day, he and the GM teams make all the decision on, you know, what constitutes what, and if someone gets banned, not banned, that kind of thing. Like I have no involvement in that. People report to me, so I just make a task and say, look at this, and they deal with it, and it's kind of out of my hands. Um, so and part of it too is as Henrik being like the one of the main, Mats and Henrik are probably like the main game designers generally. Like Mats is more of the lore-ish side of it, and then Henrik is kind of more of the mechanical side of it, and that kind of thing. And sometimes it's just trying to get an answer, and sometimes that can take time because Henrik is bouncing around a lot. And not trying to blame him, but it's one of those things that sometimes we don't know what to do, you know? Like we're not sure how to handle it. And it's with the sandboxes, there can always be so many possibilities. And so when it's like, okay, someone found a way to solo a boss this way, is that legal? Why isn't it legal? We need to kind of have an idea. So I don't know if that answers your question in a way that like you're satisfied, but um, it is something we're learning. We're not here to ban the fan base um, and the players. It's not the intention. I mean, I've personally like I know MO1's reputation for exploiting and cheating and stuff like that. And if in a perfect world, it would be my goal to kind of MO2 to not have that reputation. So that's one of the reasons why I pushed for a ban policy update that's a little bit more open and a little bit more clear so we can take action. Because I think there was a lot of, I don't want to say inaction, but there was a lot of like, we got to make sure this is okay and this and that. And just a lot of things got pushed to the side, and people who deserved to be punished weren't being punished or whatever, right? And so, I mean, you don't want to ban someone for just playing the game and it's all fine one day and then all it's not. But there's also the side of, unfortunately, the team is not ginormous. You know, I think we have maybe 5 or 6 GMs, and obviously they're not always on, and we have thousands of players. And so some people will be like, oh, well, this guy has been doing it all the time, so why isn't he banned or whatever? And like, we don't want people to weaponize the report system. So like I said, I personally try to stay as much out of or not involved as I can.
Is stream sniping bannable? Someone's asking in chat.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Honestly, I kind of wish we just leave it alone. Henrik wants us to investigate, or by us I mean the GMs and Starvault. When people come to me about it, they'll send me a video of someone getting killed or whatever, them getting killed, and I'll be like, that's doesn't show me anything. Like, it's not whatever. So, might as well put this out. They are looking into it. I honestly don't think anyone will ever get banned for it because I think it's such a hard thing to prove. So I'm sure people know there was a warning that I think was put out to someone and it caused a stir. And the reason why the warning happened was because we had multiple scenarios with full VODs and then like timestamps and them being in like random locations, not just like locations they're usually at. So I looked into it because obviously I knew it was going to become.
But here's the issue with that. Stream sniping
Yeah,
should
sure.
never be bannable in a game that only has one server. So let me give you a scenario. You're gonna drop this epic fucking world boss. You're gonna have any guild. Let's use Kodo because they're the biggest guild probably, or close to. I'm sorry, Alan. I don't mean in a bad way. They're a big guild. They have a lot of players. They're gonna go do the world boss. One of them is streaming. Now a group comes to do the world boss. They can claim stream sniping. You know what I mean? It's such a big gray area that it's like, how could you, or why would you even ban someone for that?
Well, I hope I could say with confidence, just because a guy says, I got stream sniped. It's not like we take action or like record that one person in that one scenario. Like I said, it's kind of up to the streamer to provide us with, a substantial amount of evidence. And I've only had one person do it.
But what's the minimum? Does the person have to come out and say, yeah, I stream sniped you? And then is that like the minimum level to hit or what?
I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty arbitrary. It's a case by case basis, and
well, that's where you're gonna run into problems. That's where people are gonna say corrupt GM.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it has to be in black and white. If it can't be put into black and white, you shouldn't do it. Pretty much.
Well, I am bringing up the whole stream sniping thing in my next meeting on Wednesday because it is a little bit gray, and I'm not a fan of it. I wish we just leave it alone. But this is a Hendrik incentive, I guess. Not incentive, but edict, I guess. So it's one of those things where it's very like, yeah, if you get killed because you're just playing the game, and there are obvious like hints, like, let's say you get killed in around Fabernum, and then you start walk to Bhakti, and then boom, the dude's there with you. Like, maybe that's more clear, but just because that one time doesn't constitute like a warning. And again, we warned the person. And to be honest, I think if someone were to get banned, I don't think it would be a permanent ban, and I also don't think it would be like a strike. I think it would just be like a timeout, sit in the corner. But yeah,
Do you see how all this is confusing?
yeah, absolutely.
Like you're saying,
Absolutely.
I'm not knocking anybody in this chain of events, right?
Yeah,
You're saying one thing, Discord's saying one thing, Henrik is saying another thing, and it's all coming to people through Discord, which is not needed to play the game.
Yeah.
So people get 3 different answers from people that they don't even know exists in a platform they don't need to use. Would it not just be easier, as soon as you beat up the game, if there's a policy change or anything else, it would say, here's the patch notes, here's the new policy change. Do you agree to it, yes or no?
Yeah, we want some kind of like feedback system that is built into the game, but it's not. So, it'd probably be the best to do it that way. Yeah, people with multiple accounts can vote multiple times, so there's some issue with that for some people, but maybe they deserve multiple votes.
Yeah, that's That's their right. They bought the game 6 times. They
Yeah.
should get 6
So
votes.
that's a moral question that's beyond me. Like I'm indifferent, but um we
I'm more
try.
talking about like the new EULA or what is it? Policy
Yeah,
change.
yeah.
Have something like that that basically says these are the rules, these are the changes. For you to play this game, you must scroll down and hit accept so that nobody can come to you later and say, I didn't know this was true. I didn't know I couldn't do this. You accepted it. And it wasn't on a third party program. It wasn't from you, Henrik, or anybody else. It's
No.
in the game in front of everybody.
Was it last patch that the EULA came up again when you booted it up, or
I
did that
think
not
so.
happen? Okay, I think it's gonna pop up every time now. I could be wrong, but on test and post, sorry, in test, I think it's popping up right now. So I think they made it that way. So if they do change it, though, I don't think there's. I could be wrong, but I don't think there's like a counter of being like, oh, people disagreed. If that's what you mean.
No, if you disagree, you don't get to play.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure if you disagree, like if you don't hit accept, does it not kick you out, or there's no option for it?
But that's what I'm saying. Like, the problem I think a lot of people have is objectively, Starvault is terrible at communication. I mean, this conversation proves it. And it's not your fault and it's nobody's fault. There's just not a central location of information that shows a player what they need to know without going to a third party source, be it Discord or any one of you three. So it'd be much easier, policy wise, for it to be in the game. You have to read it, you have to accept it. There's no questions. You're in the game, so you must have accepted it. Instead of this black and white nonsense of, well, Robmo thinks this, Henrik thinks this, Discord said this, and we have a screenshot of it. It would just be, it's in the game, you accepted it, that's how it is. We're going to continue from here on out. It would be black and white, so there'd be no more communication issues whatsoever.
Well, I do, me and Discord specifically, whenever there is some kind of change like that, we do try to get it put into the EULA, and we've been better at it. I do agree that there is a problem with communication when it comes to like centralizing stuff. I'm trying to push for everything on the website, you know, and just use Discord as like just the kind of like announce it kind of thing. I know that's not perfect, obviously, as well as they've recently given more people access to, how like when you go into the title screen you have like the little window that gives you like the every time there's a patch or a message. Farmer Joe used to do that on his own, but other people have access to it now, so whenever there's like a support issue, we update that. So I do think that needs to change, and I do want, if stream sniping, since this is kind of where this all came from, if that's going to be something that they're going to investigate and potentially punish people for, I do agree that there should be something more clear. It's frustrating when it's not clear, and
I think the point
that
is not necessarily stream sniping in and of itself.
no, of course, I was just kind of
I think
saying that
that
because that's
if Starbucks came out and said, no more stream sniping, if you do it or you're going to get banned, everybody would be on the same page, right? It's more of this, again, a gray area of, well, this guy is doing it, so why can't I do it? And he did it, but he didn't get in trouble, and this guy did. But this other guy got warned by Discord, but Robmo said he's not going to do anything about it. And Henrik said, oh, well, this is one policy, and we might be doing this. And we're all investigating it. It's just make a black and white, yes or no stream sniping, and then everybody will be okay with it. It's the fact that too many people are saying too many different things about something that can inevitably just get you banned is the problem. So it's not necessarily the stream sniping issue, it's the fact that we never actually know if something is true or not in terms of bans. You know what I mean?
no, I agree. It's something that obviously you can understand that I deal with a lot of it in the sense that people come to me, um be like, oh, this wasn't here, or they appeal with Discord as well. Like and funny enough, my working relationship is, I'm pretty close with Discord. Like we talk on a daily basis, because obviously the players are a core part of our responsibility in a sense. um and like trust me, like when it comes to Discord, I think Discord is the most frustrated about this at all because like he doesn't want to be the bad guy and he doesn't want the wishy-washy rules. Um, and I do agree. And so I've tried small things where, like when we change the ban policy, I'm trying to make messaging when we change things. But I do wish there was a more centralized place because sometimes things change, right? And I will bring that up on Wednesday. I do agree. I've pushed a draft of a kind of like a centralized thing a while back, and it just hasn't moved forward, or at all, really. So there are steps. It's just there's a small bit of manpower issue, and certain people who need to make the decisions are distracted. I can't make sweeping decisions on my own. So, um,
Well,
but I do agree. I do agree.
to
So
what Free Horses said as well, someone said it in chat, that like when someone gets banned on Discord, but they can still play the game, now there's an issue where if there's a policy change that can get you permabanned in game
yeah.
indefinitely, and it wasn't bannable before, but now it is. Now they have absolutely no way of knowing.
So funny enough, I don't know if it's funny, but I'm really trying to get a ban clean slate from Discord. I want to kind of start over. I tried this a few
Oh,
months. Yeah. Sorry, not in game Discord. Okay.
no.
Keep that in mind. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right,
The
fuck you, hackers.
yeah. No. The clean slate was for in game bans was sort of the May 6th change of the ban policy when we kind of were like, hey, we got this 3 strikes and all that kind of stuff. So all bans before that kind of like, yeah, we have our eyes are on them, or like the GMs have their eyes on them as well, but it didn't constitute towards their future behavior. So there was kind of that, but I kind of want, I think it would be fair that people would, what do you call it? Like we just wiped all the bans on Discord, start fresh. People act like children or whatever, they're being stupid, they'll just get rebanned. But instead of ban, they should just mute them. We have a setting
Yeah.
in Discord, so that way they can't talk, but they could see the announcements and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's much better because
Mhm.
Discord, unfortunately, is our most common or most used communication device. Whenever it comes to like your stuff, I try to post it on myself, like we'll do the forums, the Steam, the Reddit or whatever, but I know it's not great. Ideally I'm trying to push people to the website, so that's why we started doing the stream summaries on the website, even though they take a bit longer, unfortunately. And then when it comes to like bands and stuff, I kind of want to push them there as well, that way it could build traffic there and people get more used to looking at the website. However, though, to kind of put where Free Horses was going, I mean, it would be great if maybe on the title screen or something we had like a ban thing. I know it sounds weird, but like it's tough because it's a sandbox. And so do you want like a thing says you can get banned if you do this? Like it
Yes.
seems okay. Well, it seems silly, but it would be very informative and yeah. So I do agree. I have no disagreement there. I wish I could do it myself, but it's not quite that easy.
What do you think is wrong with the game?
What do I think is wrong with the game?
Like number one.
There needs to be more PvP hotspots. So there needs to be incentive to like PvP, because what's happening is okay, so the people who don't want a PvP, okay, and there's a couple for sure. They are victims of PvPers who are just playing the game. They're like, oh, I need to do something. I need to, practice. I need to do this, whatever. So TC is part of that because there's an incentive to do that. But I also think there should be smaller scale stuff. So I don't know if I should do this, but I'm going to do it, and then Henrik can get mad at me. Next patch, we're going to
Yes.
have Fabrinum sewers.
Whoa,
So
shit.
so that's exclusive
Nice.
here, yeah. So that is a little bit of a PvP hotspot, not quite what I was talking about, but and there's going to be more sewers in the future in different cities, but yeah. So that's coming next patch. Um, but yeah, I do think PvP hotspots is a big thing because like you have a bunch of like everything revolves around PvP and being able to create your gear and stuff like that. And if like for example, someone made a great suggestion, I think on our little like Reddit general feedback thing, and it's been said before, but have like small captural zones where you can have like small scale PvP where a group can go there and like if they're in the area, like a certain resource kind of spawns quicker, like in a vat or something. I don't know how you do it, but that could be fun. It'd be a reason to go check out the places with your homies and have some PvP greatness.
It sounds like meteors.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
that's what
sounds
I was.
exactly like meteors. Now, Henrik in the last stream said something along the lines of like meteors are planned, but the meteors are kind of tied around TC a little bit. Like I'm not sure what he meant by that.
The relics,
It's because
probably.
in the
Yeah,
first game they only can spawn in certain locations, and you couldn't build at those locations.
yeah, um, yeah. So it's one of those things where I think meteors, as an example, is would be a great thing for the game because I do think that if you had more things that people can contest, it would kind of alleviate some of the PvE players who just don't want to engage with that because they're not, the PvPers would be busy. It wouldn't save them because they have to get used to it. But I do think that's a big component right now is that we could always add more PvE content, dungeons, this and that. But at the end of the day, for the most part, it doesn't really create a PvP space. Like dungeons kind of do, but it's still not really their focus, You have
Okay.
to have. Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry. Good. No, you weren't done. My bad.
No, I'm pretty much finished. Sorry, does Adolin want to say anything? Sorry,
I
I'm
was
taking
literally
up the
gonna
mic.
ask you two things. I was gonna ask you, do we have a ETA for patch or no?
Um, I think it could be next week. What's
Like
today? Sunday?
tomorrow? Today's Sunday, so
Not.
I don't.
I don't think it'll come out tomorrow. I do think some things have to be just like adjusted a little bit, but I do think midweek is possible.
Okay.
Part of the delay had been because we changed our entire code submission software. And so the good news about that is that before, when you would submit code, like there'd be a change, it kind of like all pile on top of each other. And so if you wanted to pull something out very specific, or like, like let's say there was needed a hot fix like tomorrow, right? They couldn't really do that because it would break the rest of the code. So now they've made it so it's all categorized and you could pick and choose what you want. And they spent a lot of the time, the coders like just readjusting all their code for that. So this will be the first patch that kind of has this code submission software. So in the future, in the case of let's say the mounted combat, we should be able to like put out a hot fix in the middle if
Thank
you want to call it a hot
God.
fix. Yeah, it is a problem. Like
That's
trust me,
needed.
no, for sure. It's inexcusable in my eyes. I totally get the frustration there because it's like, okay, if you break a build for 2 weeks, a month, it's not that's stupid. So I totally agree.
Yeah, with this whole
Now,
one character slot, it's a real problem, don't you think?
yeah, I do. I do. I'm actually, I talked to Sebastian actually on Friday, and I asked him straight up. I was like, why don't like people would pay for another character slot or for race rerolls or something? You know what I mean? People would pay for that. Not everyone would, but people would, and it's a way that you could monetize and it not feel predatory. I don't think. I correct me if I'm wrong, but I think people would do it, and I think it comes along down the lines of like that is we have multiple programmers, but that would be a task that takes programmers away from like the bug fixing and the more central stuff. So maybe that's why. But it is something I'm going to bring up Wednesday because people have been asking me when are we getting race rerolls? When are we getting second characters? And I get the desire for both those things. So
All right. My
Yeah,
second
I
question.
might.
Go ahead, Alan. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I might be on the unpopular opinion side of that, where I like that the fact there's only one character.
I
I think
also I also like it, but I'm that's me, and most people want multiple characters, so that it's not for me to be like, no, fuck you guys, you get nothing. That's not really
Well,
fair.
I think Adolin can say that. I don't think you can say that, Robmo, because you have 2 characters.
Yeah. I literally play one account for over a
Mhm.
year and a half now. And I like it because I can't do everything, right? I have to go to my guildmate and say, "Hey, dude, I need a sword." All right, cool, thanks. I think it creates player-driven
Agent.
interaction. First, if every single person has 4 characters and we can all do every profession, I'm just gonna mail the shit to my other character, log in, get it, craft it, and it kills. I think the economy as well because then you don't need to sell stuff that you can't use.
I mean,
Yeah,
technically, we have 2 characters by MO1 standards.
True.
yeah. If you look at the professional versus the professional points and the action points, yeah. And to be fair, with my second character, my guild master, he pushed me really hard. I was really humming and hawing because I do like the one character idea, but the reality is players don't engage like that. Not all of them, and people who want one character can still get that game. They could still get the game of where they have to search and trade and interact for that. And I mean, a guild, if you're in a guild, which most people are, a bigger guild can facilitate having multiple characters as well. But there's some people who want to try different things. Mages play differently from foot fighters, etc. So, you're missing a part of the game with only having one option. And I like it, but it's definitely something that could help, even if it was just one. Or if it was one without professional points, if that's the issue. Like, I don't know how they want to do it, if they do it, but
Adolin, I'm going to ask you the same question Robmo got asked earlier. What do you think is bad about the game, and what do you think is good about the game? Like, both sides.
So good. I love this game, the adrenaline of risk reward, right? Every time you go out, right, you're risking whatever you're using, and if I kill a dude in tongue steel while I'm wearing reptile, I make 600 gold on a set. The downfall to that, though, for me, like I don't like the magic system in this game. I don't like the up forward cost it takes to become a mage, but then after that up forward cost, I feel like mages the risk reward plummets after that. So you get your 6,000 gold scroll, and now after that you run around naked with 5 gold of regs, and there's no risk reward to it. Um, that's where I find the issue with mages personally. But um,
Okay.
what
I
about you,
mean,
FreeHorses?
yeah,
Oh,
go ahead,
go ahead.
Free. No, no.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Just what do you think is like? What's your number one gripe about the game? Like, what do you think is bad, and then what do you think is good?
I'm thinking. The best part about this game is the genuine interactions that you can have with people within it. I have made genuine long term, I'm talking 5, 6, 7 years, friendships with people that I have met in this game. And regardless of my gripes about it, the fact that I could have made those interactions at all makes this the best game, in my opinion. And it is truly something worth improving because of that. I mean, I'm talking about like JJ and Wasper and Berdalia Volve, the Lich Twins, Phaneronic, Quick, Wormy, Triptych, JPK, Plutus, Jezzy, Neori, Ozzy, Ozdos, Wolf, Kiko, Rune, Triptych, and Before Dead, uh, Glitch, Doom Rider, all the NWO crew, Iron Vanguard, all the Hodge kids, even Reaver back in the day. And I could go on for like another hour.
Wait,
But it's
Hodge is
just
in
like,
Harbingers of Judgment?
yes. And it's just like the fact that I could have met these people over a silly little game like this is amazing in my book. And that's kind of why, even though I don't play this game very much anymore, and I'm very downtrodden in terms of the way it is run and this, that, and the other thing, I genuinely love this game. And that is why I stick around and try to make it at least improve a little bit. And the worst part about this game is there's no dismounts and the Meta Reflex sucks.
Yeah, I do. The dismounts is a huge thing.
have they explained why that blunt lances haven't been fixed yet? the fact
Or
that they don't
lances
deal
in general.
lances in general. Yeah, lances in general, but blunt lances just not dealing enough damage to dismount. You
This
can put
was
the highest tier resource into the best blunt tipped lance, and it still will hit for under like 25.
and this was before the MC getting broken, right?
Yeah. This is prior to that. Since MC's been in the game, blunt tips have not worked. Still, what are we at? Like a year later since it's been in the game.
Well, I don't know, but I will find out
Are you making
because
notes?
I am. Yeah.
Oh,
Why
okay.
wouldn't I?
I thought you were. I didn't know for sure though.
Yeah. No, I make notes. Like I said, I have a bigger. I mentioned that every 2 weeks I have like a meeting that I run. So, not that I only bring up issues at these meetings. I bring them up when it's appropriate. But yeah, I make notes because I personally wasn't aware how bad the blunt lances were, so I feel bad for saying that, but just that's the truth. So, um, yeah.
I gave up going into his streams a while ago and bringing it up, but while I had you here, I was like, let me ask.
Yeah, no worries. You can always come to me. Like I said, I always read and try to keep track of stuff that comes up, especially if it's like, oh yeah, I'm getting like 16 messages a day about this one issue. It's probably there's some probable truth, and so with our newer test team too, they've been very good for repoing issues and stuff, and then providing us like in-game evidence for it.
I have to ask. You keep bringing it up, but I can't avoid it any longer. Are we ever gonna get a like either a public test server, or are we ever gonna know who's on the test team? It's something that's bothered me forever. It will
Well,
forever.
the okay, so the test team now is it's another company that we've hired, and then someone within the company oversees it. And then we also have, I think I mentioned this the other day, but we have two people currently that are like players that are they not really involved too much with testing, as volunteers, but they are PvP centric, and we will have them come in and give us feedback and that kind of idea. So in terms of answering who they are, no. I think if we did, I think it could cause problems for them, and that's not what we want to do. At least that's my opinion. It's not my place to say. If Henrik decides to shout it out to the stars, then that's on him. But yeah, there's a couple people, just like two, and like I said, they're more of like advisor type, and sometimes they help out, but they're not like involved at all times. And in my personal opinion, since they've kind of switched up the formula, it's been much better. Um, the mounted combat thing was reported by them, but the head QA kind of missed it, so they feel very dumb about it. Their words. So, but generally, it has improved. The format's improved, especially in the last 4 or 5 months, in my opinion, because I got involved with testing as a helper probably about 2.5, 3 months after I started with Star Vault. So I wasn't there, but at that time it wasn't in good shape, and I helped kind of put it in shape in regards to like making suggestions and kind of like showing them the importance of it. And yeah.
Why are they so against like a public test server? And you can make the argument because well then more people will have access to the exploits. But if the exploits slip through the cracks and make it into live, then the same people are going to do the same exploit that they would have done anyways by finding it playing live. So I'm
Mm.
curious, like, why are they so against like just having like a World of Warcraft public test server? If you own the game, you can download it, log in, test bugs, report bugs. Now you have like all these players who can filter these bugs. And yeah, maybe there's this guy who he finds this bug, won't report it, but now you have 100 other people who might find the same bug but would report it.
Mhm.
So I don't understand why that's a thing, I guess.
I actually don't know why it hasn't been pushed. I don't know if there's a fear. I haven't gotten that feedback or that what's the word I'm looking for? That impression that
Mm-hmm.
that's the issue. My thoughts is that it's an issue with like making sure that we could put it out and it not strain the live server, test server, whatever. Per a personal opinion, I do have a small fear of obviously if people test the public test server, find things, don't report them. But I would never personally try to stop the public test server. Like that's not. I don't think that's my business to do that.
Well, my
So
argument to that is kind of like what I said is like you're afraid that someone's going to find something and abuse it, and now you have more people, so that could obviously more likely happen. But the goal of the test server should be to stop things from ever getting to live, so you don't have like pre-patch item issues or exploits or hacks. Now you have all this gold in the economy, right? So my argument to that would be like, well, now you're also more likely for someone to report the same bug that you're afraid of someone exploiting. You know what I mean? Because
yeah,
the goal isn't to like, necessarily, it's to stop bugs from ever making it to live. Is essentially
Or
what I
even
think
like
the
if
goal
it's a
should be.
third party company, we know more about the game than they do, and we know how to like hunt for things, right? Like a
oh for
bunch of
sure.
the exploits in the second game were replicated for the first, right? So
Mhm.
like we go into this already having predetermined knowledge about basically what to do, and we can look at it through another lens like a third party can't. So I don't. And if
Well,
the question is, or if the reason why we can't do that is because we might find something, and like we get predetermined knowledge, right? Like if we go in there in the necro cave, like if we're testing the necro cave on a test server and it goes to live, well, we've already tested on the test server, so we know what to do. So if that's the case, why don't we just have like a little arena so we can test balancing or whatever else?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. You know, when Sieging comes out too, if they had like a somewhat like a haven, different, but like a haven that has everything you need it, like a keep and places to play strongholds and a town, whatever it may be. I like I said, I haven't gotten the impression that the reason there isn't a public test server is because they're worried about exploiting abuse. I don't think that I really don't think that's the issue. I've never gotten that impression. I think it's a matter of setting it up and making sure it works and stuff. Um, Taking away some of the programmers away from that, maybe it's a manpower issue. But I haven't asked the question about public test server in some time directly. So I wrote that down, and I will ask what is the holdup, because I do agree it would be a valuable tool. And I mean, your comment on the, an outside group of people playing the game, there's a reality there that they're not players all day, every day. Um, that's one of the reasons, like, we have the players that the volunteers that kind of try to push for that. And um, the QA lead is also someone who will give instructions to try to break things and do things in weird player ways as best they can. I do wish that the test team was much bigger. I'm personally going to push for more and more and more testers, especially when the subs turned on, because obviously when you have a subscription, there should be a quality level that's attained, and having more QA with that could be. And I don't want I don't want the company to rely purely on players when it comes to like a public test server, but it is a resource that they could use, and people would. I think there's a lot of people who are dedicated to the game that would love to do it. So I have nothing like truly against it myself. It's just one of those things where a small worry, but I would never say no. Let's not do that, because that'd be dumb.
So with the test branch currently, let's say a necro patch, when they're testing it, are the necro vendors all in place and the spell locations already charted out, so they're actually getting secrets, or is it that all of that's kind of not put in yet and they're just testing the mechanics of necromancy, or do they actually
It's
learn locations of stuff?
it's a bit of both. I think with the volunteers, Henrik especially, he's very hesitant on letting the volunteers know the secrets.
Yeah.
So they try to avoid that best you can. So for example, when it comes to like the necro dungeon testing, that was done by developers.
Okay.
We with the de- we I kind of pushed for these like weekly developer play tests. So yeah,
Raid night,
where they
boys. Let's go.
yeah. No, I know it sounds silly, but the time their time was branched a certain way to do their tasks and stuff, and I said, why don't we get all the developers to play once a week? We could test the things on the test. We could just play it, and it will give the developers also a perspective. And they found like the first one they did, they're like, "Holy shit, this doesn't work." This, you know what I mean? So like, it gives them a perspective. And so I'm gonna toot my horn a bit, but I did push for that, and we're doing it. So, and I think it's been a positive thing. Um,
I mean,
Facts.
I'm not trying to like go for low hanging fruit here,
it's okay.
but like when Necromancy released, stuff wasn't dropping loot bags that were killed by magic. You
Yeah.
could summon unlimited zombies and they would never despawn. I think that still might be a thing. Like, I think the reason why people have such an issue with the test team is that such simple things are being overlooked, like having a magic patch, and if you kill something with magic, something doesn't drop loot.
Yeah,
It,
no, that's okay. It's I'm not I don't feel attacked. I uh I do wish that the test, like I said, the test team was bigger. There is like a what do you call it? We do have like basic checklists that every branch of testing, we call it branches, every test branch, we make sure that basic mechanics work, and that must have been missed in that case. You know, and actually, to be honest, and again, it's not an excuse because obviously the players got affected, but that was a really rough week for us. We were doing test branches like every day, and it was tough. Like we would have like, you know, a test branch, and then they'd make some changes and then make some changes. And I think what happened with the magic thing was that the last two or last branch, um the issue happened. So um like I said earlier about like our new code system, in a worst case scenario, if something slips through, that's especially pretty critical. The team should have the capabilities without disrupting the rest of the patch to be able to do it in a hot fix. So I hope
Um,
that helps. But yeah, go ahead.
how big is? For I want to ask two questions. When did the third party test team thing start? Do you know? Like months ago or more recent?
A few months ago. Let me look.
Okay, it's
See
not
that.
really important the date exactly. I was just curious.
No. I'm kind of thinking about it now. I can kind of look here. I have a vague idea at least. Sorry, it's taking a while, but it's roughly like two months ago,
Okay, 2 months ago. And
two
then
or three.
do you
Yeah.
know how big the test team was before and how big is it now? Are you allowed to say like numbers roughly even?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but I can.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
Yeah, it's not as big as I'd like. I could say that with confidence.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah,
I was just curious.
yeah.
Can you say if it grew in size or shrunk in size?
It's grown.
It's grown? Okay.
It's grown. And like when we had a little bit more volunteers, the volunteers weren't always active, right? So
Mhm.
you could have 10, 12, 13, 14, whatever the number is, but if only a couple of them, you know, if only a small patch of them are helping, then, you know. So a lot of the testing was done internally with the devs, and I helped when I started because I saw a need. There needed bodies. Um, but yeah, so
Gotcha.
I do, yeah, I do. It's an MMO, obviously. Um, we need those testers and resources. As Henrik said, you know, Star Vault isn't struggling in terms of like monetary, but we also can't just throw money around. So um, it's one of those things where, again, once we start doing the subs, especially, I'm going to personally suggest be like, well, this is the time to expand. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
I remember I think it was like the stream summary where they were talking about finishing the designs for sieging and then they were gonna show like some artwork or something, I think. When the wording was a little confusing. So when you guys said you're finishing the designs of sieging, are you specifically talking about the art or are you talking about like the coding and mechanics behind it?
I think he meant the mechanics. That's what I think he meant. That's how I took it. Um, you know, Henrik likes to kind of talk, and sometimes he says things that are new to me at the time. At the time, I do think he was talking generally about the mechanics. Like I'm not involved with like the direct design team, so it's not like when they have like, okay, we're gonna design this mechanic. It's not like I'm sitting at the table with them. I can make feedback with what I see and stuff. But I'm not designing bounty hunting. I'm not designing TC things like that. So they I know Henrik's always in meetings, and that could be with coders, designing, that all kind of stuff. So it's a process.
Okay.
Yeah, I hope that answers the question.
I mean, kind of. It was more of a I don't know answer, really, more than anything. But
It's a bit of an I don't know. I don't think they had like like I'm sure they had some stuff in broad strokes, and then they've been refining it as they've been adding other things in the game. So where they are with the full design, unsure. I do know that TC is going to come in 2 big patches initially. So it's probably going to be like patch 1, patch 2. And I don't know how they're going to be split. Like, I don't know if the TC mechanics will come first and then the sieging second. Like, I'm unsure. Or if it'll be a bit of both. Like, couldn't say. But he said that publicly. And so that's my knowledge of it. Of when TC is ready to come out, there'll be a big patch, then a second patch, and then TC will forever be expanded on with smaller features, whether that's different buildings, tools, things like that.
okay. Do you
Yeah.
know when we'll be getting a roadmap at all, or
The second map, is that what you said?
no, the roadmap? Like, or do you know
Oh,
when we're getting another roadmap?
nope. Wish I did. Really wish I did.
Gotcha. Okay.
I don't. I think right now, um, so we've changed. I know we keep on saying we've changed, but we've changed the way we do our patches because what we were doing before was just not feasible with the amount of workers we have and stuff. So we've changed the way we do our sprints, which essentially means we are trying to track how long each task takes. We're being very a little bit more anal on that. So like, oh, if this coder does this little change, it takes them 5 minutes. If this coder does this change, it takes them 10 hours, whatever it may be. And we're using that to have better estimations. So I'm under the impression that they've been trying to have a better understanding of that before they put a roadmap. That's based on what I see, it makes sense. Like I kind of have like a patch schedule, but I don't have the details of each patch. I like know a little bit ahead, and I know what we're currently working on, obviously, but it's not quite set up where I can see it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish there was a roadmap in terms of that. And just to clarify, the roadmap isn't going to be like October, December, that kind of thing. It's going to be like this next patch will have this, and then the patch after that will have this. It will be more broad in its dating. That doesn't mean it's always going to be late or anything like that. It's just we don't want to confine if we find issues. Like you can have a great, for example, this patch period has been other than the code switch has been going really well, and then we had a small hiccup just like a couple days ago, and might take an extra day, but I don't think it's a big issue. As an example.
Yeah, I mean that's probably better, so that we can get the quality rather than the quantity of what we're expecting to have. It like,
Yeah.
first patch will be XYZ, second patch will be ABC. You know.
Hmm. Yeah, I do with these like little project polish patches. They still want to do like little content um things. Myself, I'm kind of on the I'm like, we should just fix polish, fix polish. That's it. Like that's what we should work on. But I'm not the boss there. So, but little things like like a little dungeon here or like an addition to bounty hunting there or whatever it may be.
I don't know, man. People can't live without having that Bobcat in game, dude. Gonna be huge.
Bobcat lynx.
Gonna be massive. Yeah, the lynx.
No, the Belvis. What are you talking about?
You know what's actually with a little insight on the animals. So a lot of them are close to done in terms of their animations and stuff. And the art team was asking questions like, should we release them as like one here, one there? But I think they're just going to hold on to them and put them all when they're all ready and do like a bigger animal patch, I guess you could say, where they add like 5 new animals instead of like one here, one there. But I'm unsure.
Well, that's kind of the
kinda-
problem you have with your patches, and that's why you change the coding so you can have hot fixes. So you're like, because it just feels like the game goes like this with patches. Like pop goes up when there's a big patch, and then it goes back down because people get bored, and then back. You know what I mean? Like, so if you streamlined it where you had a bunch of animals here and there where they were actually useful animals and have an actual useful material and purpose, then like you will even line out your player base more. But it's kind of
Yeah,
annoying
I
when
mean,
the game is going up and down consistently.
well, the good news, at least I'll have to check, but the good news is like since necromancy, the population has been steadily going up on average, which is good. Um, most, from my understanding on the feedback I've seen, is that it's mostly positive. People are happy about the kind of change and shift, and instead of piling on a weaker foundation, we're making the foundation stronger. It's a transition period, so I'm sure some people are like, I wish you guys could come out with stuff faster or whatever. But I do think we're improving, and I am confident in that myself.
Well, it's not so much like the speed of like where things come in, but if you're intentionally holding stuff back, I think that seems like more of an issue. You know what I mean?
You're
Yeah,
going to create the dip where you lose 300-400 players.
Yeah. And it's like
yeah,
if you
no,
have
fair
something,
enough.
why wouldn't you release it type
I
thing?
mean, the
I don't know.
alternative to that is, do you think people are really going to be coming back because you added Belvis?
Yeah, that's kind of I think maybe what the art team was kind of thinking of. Like, okay, we release a Belbus this patch. Woohoo! Like it's cool.
Oh, they're
you
not even
know?
excited. Oh no. Starville internal leak.
I don't think it would get people to come back per se, but they wouldn't leave in the first place because there'd be something new. All right, this week, hey guys, let's go to the jungle and find the bulbous or wherever it spawns. I have no idea.
Mhm.
Give something more people do on a weekly basis instead of a week of nonstop fighting and fun of a patch and then slowly trickling down.
Well, the animals we got, I think, on the pipeline, and I think we got um
For God's sake,
the
please say I'm
lynx.
out.
A what? Amount? No, I wish we did. Like a Lycanator, that'd be cool. We got the lynx, the gar, the Belbus, the water lizard. There's Stein trolls that are sort of kind of done. We have the risen one in the dungeon. Um,
Do
there's
you know what
another.
a Timigula is?
No, I don't.
Never mind.
Wait,
Ugh,
what'd you
sorry.
say?
You know what a Timigula is.
I have no idea what the hell that is.
It's the thing you fish up with a white paw.
Yeah, I think I did that. I didn't do that. Like
Whatever.
that was like a 1% of player base probably thing in the jungle.
Listen,
um. Oh, go ahead.
nah, I'm upset now. Go ahead.
I feel bad. I'll have to look it up. But yeah, I do think I can understand both sides of the coin. You can add a little pet here, a little pet there, but like also too, what the project manager is trying to do with these like project polish and these polish patches is try to like fix features that add content to the game. For example, like domination. Domination works on test now. So next patch, you're gonna be able to dom minotaurs, spiders, not Selenos. That's by design, so don't try. Don't know why. Yeah. What
Wait,
else?
I have a question because I asked you in DMs and you said that the Knighter Queens and Trolls can't because the stuff to dominate them isn't in game yet. I thought you needed. Didn't you need stuff for the Minotaurs?
You need the
No,
gloves.
not for no. You don't.
Okay, so you've
So
done it yourself.
yeah, yeah. You can.
Okay,
They
cool. So-
a level 1 Minotaur with 100 Yotani lore takes 30 points. So I don't think you'll be able to do like a 125 Minotaur, but you'll get it pretty close. I haven't spent the time to like check all the pet point requirements and stuff. But that's kind of where a white bear is, and a white bear is I think it's 29 at level 1. So I assume
I have a question too. Because
Yeah.
in MO1 with taming, there was like some sort of like inspect or something that would let you look at the stats and then the level of something. Are we ever gonna have
Mhm.
something like that? Because it's hard to look at a Minotaur and be like, okay, is this a level 60 or a 125? You know what I mean? Or like a
Yeah,
100, whatever.
the only indicator right now is like the taming requirement, but if you're I think if you're like below like your taming requirement, it won't tell you the number. I can't quite remember because I have 100 taming now, so I haven't really tried it at the lower level. But not I don't really have an answer there. I do think pet stats are still in the back of the mind of Henrik, you know, that they are going to come. And I do think that if you have the skills, like I don't know whether it's a high taming or some other like maybe beast mastery will allow you to do it or something. Like I don't know what the plans are there, so I can't really answer that. But I don't think the idea of pets having pet stats is like out the window forever. It's just when, you
Well, that
know.
was like the whole point of breeding was to get the best stats and the best like entity, like the same thing. You know what I mean? So like
Mhm.
a lot of people will associate like stats whenever if it does come out with breeding, like oh breeding must be coming out soon because now we have stats because that was like kind of their whole point at the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, I'll definitely bring that up when Beast Mastery is being worked on because like I said, my expectation of Beast Mastery is a complete rework on how like fighting with tames is. So
Mhm.
like each family is gonna get special moves. So like the wolves will have moves and the bears will have moves or whatever. And what those moves are will be dependent on your Beast Mastery in the family. But like I said, I'm really hoping it's not just going to be like Beast Mastery, new moves, no changes, you know? They are starting to do a little bit of like pet changes, a little bit. Horses are going to cost less pet points next patch.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
I think about two. I haven't checked at the high end yet, but I was just kind of checking a few horse levels and
What's the logic there? Like
Yeah,
who's
so
like
it's
okay we
technically
gotta lower these fucking pet levels and it's
yeah.
like we're gonna lower it by 2.
it's a,
How'd you get
to be
2?
honest, I okay, so Henrik did the changes himself. Ooh. I actually was surprised that the horses got lowered. Maybe it's to allow players to not waste as many points on creature control. Like maybe that's where he thought of it, like, oh, everyone should have a horse kind of idea. Maybe that's the logic. But it surprised me. Like I personally did not say, hey, let's lower horses or hey, I've gotten a lot of feedback from it. The only thing he's also changed wolves. So regular wolves will also be cheaper.
Thank God that was needed. Yeah.
That that was something that I was like, they're exactly the same as dire wolves, tor dogs, and the saber cats or
I mean, most
whatever.
things are
So
like a max level Razorback is high as fuck too. It's really not a good pet. I mean, you could say that about a lot of the creatures in the game. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
like they're I wish taming has like had a better progressive style for like leveling up taming and whatever. But right now it's like if it's an aggressive pet and it's an adult, it takes so many points to tame it. And yeah, so I don't know. I think it's gonna be funny. I kind of hope to see people have like 3 or 4 wolves and then just like send them in to like bug a mage or something. But the wolves are getting adjusted down a bit in terms of their pet points. But my point with this rambling was that they are starting to look at like pet balance a little bit more. And like I said, I'm trying. I have to do a little bit of work for it, but I'm trying to show Henrik how powerful certain pets are on steel as like a baseline versus not and that kind of thing. Because like I've seen fights where like you have one side that could dominate another side with more players like consistently, but then the other side has less players and a turtle, and the turtle just absolutely ninja turtles through them all, and it doesn't seem right, you know, in a skill based gameplay. But it's hard to base. You know, you have skill based gameplay, which is monumental, but it's also an RPG that has like numbers and stats, and those numbers and stats will adjust it. So I'm sure it's not an easy juggling thing, but I can't promise, you know, pet nerfs this patch, but I am gonna try to get a decision on it the next patch at least.
Couple more things with
Yeah.
this and this doesn't just apply to tamers but everyone like in
Sure.
mo1 I know you didn't play you could train your pets in the stable, and this worked really well for like horses and stuff like that. And also, horses had a light attack, very small attack, but it allowed them to get that combat XP to level horses. Like right now, horses don't get that. Period. If you wanted to change it for horses or mounts specifically, just make it that when you're riding them, they get that bonus experience to level them faster. That might be a way around putting attack animation on them. Um, but also being able to train your pets in the stable, because like most people in this game, I don't know, maybe other mounted areas or whatever do it differently, but like most people will just pick up a horse and ride it to battle and it'll die because it takes so long to level horses, like more than anything else, simply because they don't have the combat XP. But being able to train in stables or giving it like a rideable XP gain might help balance that maybe more. um
Mm, before I comment, what is the other two thoughts on that?
I mean,
Because
I like that idea just because it gives it something to do, a way to level it that's not sitting AFK in a stronghold or a house for 4 or 5 hours. Because I mean, that's how most tamers I see level their pets up. They just go AFK and come back every 20 minutes, feed it food, and go back. It's not a fun way to do anything really. So I mean, at least if riding around gave it XP, people are out playing the game with their pets instead of AFK.
horses.
Well, my name thing is, at least in the first game, a spawn of horses had a collective level pool to where at least 2 horses at any time could be level 100, at least, unless somebody killed a level 100 horse, then that would disrupt the other pool, and then it would be like a level 70 and then whatever. And you can tell the 2 level 100s in the pact because they would be much bigger than the other two, or like the others in the pact. And that kind of visual clarity is kind of missing in this game, because what people would do, or at least what I would do for Lyciators, is I would just tame the 2 biggest Lyciators. Bam, I have 2 level 100 pets, which is a good baseline to go into combat with, and then they would just level up naturally that way. So I wouldn't have to go tame a level 17 horse and then wait in my, Bhakti or whatever it is for 8 hours, and then all good. I'm combat ready.
I
No,
think
I mean,
if you guys were to buff horse spawns in general, as far as levels are concerned, they're like one of the most used things, probably pets in the game in general, because everyone can use a horse to get from point A to point B, or combat
Mhm.
or not, whatever. Um, Maybe buffing the horse levels in general might be something that would help with that too. In the wild.
Yeah, no, I think both those ideas have merits. Like, I mean, all the other animals other than horses, unless I'm mistaken, have visual indicators of like their age. So, and the age does change at level 100 if I'm not mistaken, or is it 101? I can't remember. But regardless, um the horses have no visual indicator. So, I think if they have the models ready for it, they could probably do it. Or whether or not it's telling the player their level. My only concern with like stables and leveling them up, I mean, as someone who has a tamer, I mean that would be very convenient for me. But I would personally maybe only let it happen to like mounts, or at least basic mounts, because there is a goal to have like anything be mountable, but that's gonna take some time. So, because the whole like tamers do have like a time investment to get their pets leveled up and stuff, and that's again, some people argue that's not good balance. Some people are like that's balance, and that's not a discussion I'm trying to put up here. But I do think it might be too strong if I could just put my white bear in a stable and it just level up. Now maybe you can make it a money sink. Maybe you can limit it to horses and lycators and like those kind of like basic mounts, I guess you could say. But I'll bring up the stuff with horses because travel in the game is something that is a big feedback from all aspects of the community: PvP, PvE, RP. It's like and if you don't have the horses to do it, like if someone builds a character and they don't want to be taming, that's kind of maybe their fault. But if they have the taming, like the taming 51 or whatever it is, um you can if you can't find a horse for a while, I could see that being quite annoying. And I don't really think they're ever going to do like the moon gates or anything like that. Like I have no indication that they're going to. So um, if we can alleviate that for players, like I'm a patient guy. I don't mind doing the trek, but some people want to jump in, get to the fight, play, and that's okay as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what Falco's saying in chat, it's like it's such an unappealing gameplay style to like, because like nobody is leveling their pets organically. I mean, I shouldn't say nobody, but most people aren't leveling their pets organically.
Not full time, no.
Right.
No.
So like it would be cool if like killing bandits, risers, whatever it was, um, would level your pets. Like if they actually got the kill rather than just like it's in combat mode, so it gets bonus XP. By the way, still see people leveling pets on training dummies. Does not work. Stop doing it, especially in Bhakti. I see it all the time to this day.
Guys, don't do it.
Oh my god.
It's like people are doing this, and I'm like, I don't understand why.
I think you were the one who told me a while ago, like that doesn't even work anymore. I was like, oh
no,
fuck.
it doesn't work at all. You're better off like killing all the chickens or something, but even that or whatever, right? Like it's just
Yeah.
it's funny seeing people do it for hours, and I'm like, you could literally just stand in your house and they'll level up just the same. So
It kind of reminded me when I was saying that. Like, are we intending to expand clade gain to like other aspects of the game, like crafting, mining? Like, why aren't we getting clade from like everything that we're doing in the game and not just from combat? I thought that was like the intended feature like a long time ago, and I haven't heard much about it since.
some time ago I asked Henrik about like clade gain like crafting, for example, and he was just like, "Yep," and there's been no movement. So I will ask. I will talk
Cool.
I'll talk to Henrik and the Farmer Joe about it because I'm curious about that too. Like I don't know how hard it would be to implement. Like even if you got like 1 XP per item, like that would be huge. That'd be
Right.
huge.
Like even
right?
like all mobs, like why? I think it's like Lothos maidens give like 3 clade XP. It's so
Yeah,
random the mobs that give clade
the,
XP.
the spiders, like the monsters, is I think is what gives the clade XPs versus the animals. Hence, and it's kind of like the dominated creatures, like
Yeah.
all the spiders give like 3. You got the satyrs that give so much, the bandits, you got the minnows give quite a bit. But yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I could see maybe some mobs, like if you had like, you wouldn't want to have pigs give clade XP, you wouldn't want to have chickens give a clade XP, like rabbits, but maybe like a wolf gives you 1, a razorback gives you 2.
But like, why not just make everything give clade? Like,
I don't.
what hurts the game at that point from making someone not like progress their character? Like everything, I think should give you clay. Like hitting a tree, like should give you like a small amount of clay XP. You know what I mean? Like everything, really. You
Yeah,
want people to get to their end of their character progression. You don't want to keep them in the middle forever.
And I like I said, something very low even is better than nothing. I
Right.
completely
That's what
agree.
I'm saying. Yeah.
Especially since some of the clades revolve around crafting or rocketing or
Right.
whatever else.
Yeah, no, for sure. I completely agree. I don't know if it's merely a task that's just will take a lot of a programmer's time, but that is a quality of life thing, and our project polish is all about quality of life and as well. And so um I'll ask. I'll definitely ask because I agree. Like put it this way, I've been obviously been playing since launch in terms of like everyone else has been playing since launch. I mean, I guess we've had players who only started the game, this month, last month, whatever. But I've been playing since launch, and I think my clade is only like 12 or 13 on my main character because I just couldn't be bothered sitting. I like playing the game, but I also don't want to sit and grind the game with certain mobs and stuff. And I'm a squishy mage, so it's a little more difficult. I'm not a mounted archer, and it's weird because like people will like build. They'll be like, I'm a mounted archer until I level up my clades, and like I don't think people should have to do that. Like that's just kind of weird, Like so.
Yeah, I mean, you should be playing what you want to play from start to finish. And I'll tell you right now, every time I've ever made a mage, I do not play in Haven as a mage. I play as a fighter, and I switch to a mage after I leave Haven. And
Yeah.
it's just easier that way for me, and I
No,
recommend it to everyone that does it. So
I unfortunately I recommend that too. So I do agree. A lot of questions for Henrik. Why? And I'll make sure
Why?
that. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was just making a joke. But I got a pitch. What if we do Clade XP on lost to in PvP? So if you died to another player, they take 0.5% of your Clade XP. Or is that too harsh in Henrik's vision?
That would be
Dude,
pretty
people would
harsh.
rage, bro. I mean, that would be
Ah,
hilarious. I'm down for it, but I don't think that would ever
I
go
think that'd be
through.
so much fun, dude.
I
If
think it could be
everything gave
fun.
Clade, like any menial task, and you're getting so much Clade it doesn't matter, then sure, I could see it. But like where it is now, dude, I
Oh.
have so many characters that aren't 20. I don't even know if I have a character that's 20.
Why don't
Because
you just get Clade for killing people that have Clade?
that's what you just
Yeah,
said.
take a percent of their okay.
No,
They're
no.
above level 20. You know how it just kind of keeps going? 'Cause I think they're saving that for mastery or whatever they call it, veteran rank. Yeah, they take a percent of your above 20 per your level 20 clade.
Or like not even take it, just it's be like you killing a mob.
Yeah. Yeah, I think taking it could be pretty punishable because like of course it's a sandbox and of course, we allow people to kill whoever, but it might be too punishing for the poor graveyard noobs, you know what I mean? Like
They finally got
I
their first clade and it gets
Well,
robbed instantly.
you
yeah,
could it could go on a cooldown too though. Like if you got
yeah,
your Clade stolen in the last 24 hours, you know you can't get stolen again for 24 hours.
yeah,
Whatever, but
I don't think it's an absolute terrible idea by any means, but I do think killing players for Clade, um, I don't know what would determine it, whether it's their personal Clade level or not, could be good. I guess I think the company wants to promote PvP, but they also don't want to promote like newbie graveyard stuff. Now, that being said, a lot of people don't understand. A lot of PvE guys don't understand that most people who like fight noobs in the graveyard aren't fighting noobs in the graveyard because they're noobs in the graveyard. They're fighting them because they want to pull the militia out, and that's so how you solve that is by, like I had mentioned before, what I think the game needs is more PvP hotspots, incentives for PvP players to fight amongst themselves, or people can choose this, like a soft opt-in, I guess you could say, in that case.
I
But
mean, for PvP hotspots for the Ultimeki or whatever it's called in this game, used to be Kikumuru. Like I like how it's a 4-hour timer, so people show up to contest it and it's fun. But it's all based around having Spiritus to go AFK and CCTV the spot. Okay, we got the timer. Now we show up 4 hours later. Why not have it so there's a way to look at it throughout the map? Like there's smoke coming from the mountaintop that he's inside, right? Something so you can see that the boss is alive and up without having to send somebody to go sit for AFK for hours. It was a good idea and they almost made it, but they didn't. I don't know. You have to go stick somebody somewhere for hours just AFK. I think that's where one of the issues with me is there's so little PvP you can find around the map that doesn't require spiritless CCTVing somewhere or going up to a town and murdering noobs in the graveyard.
yeah, I mean, like I know with their points of interest that have been smaller and varied and more noob friendly as of now, they're trying to emulate the like, oh hey, I see that light in the distance or the smoke trail in the distance, but that's not really a PvP hotspot. Um, in regards to bosses, I don't know when they're gonna do it, but I do think they're looking at randomizing boss timers opposed to like set amounts. And the randomizing will probably be within a limit, right? Like, not like one boss won't spawn for 24 hours, because that's the luck of the draw. But I think they are thinking about it. Um, but, I don't see why there couldn't be. It sounds like it could be a good idea, like maybe something's going on at like the Seder when the vessel's up, the Seder temple has smoke or a light or whatever. Like I don't know what they could do, but I don't think it's a bad idea. But the dungeons, I just think there needs to be more than the dungeons, and I think we can all
Yeah.
agree with that. Like TC is going to create natural hotspots, of course, but I do think there should be like some solid in-game stuff. Like let's say you have like a mine, right? You have like a mine, and if you're within a area, the mine starts producing, or you have a character using a machine, right? That's like producing said let's say it's a semi like Calx or something, right? Like something that's not like Granum. You're like, who's gonna fight over Granum? But unless it's like quite faster production. But like Calx or something a little bit more rare, and it produces it. You have like a person or two on the machine, and so you have your buddies like watching you, and then people will come and try to contest that. And when they kill you, they could take what's in the machine already, or you can take what's in the machine if you succeed. That kind of thing,
Yeah.
Um, I don't know if that's what people want, but as FreeHorses said, it's kind of like a different meteor. Um, people are going to ask, and I think people, because they talked about it, I think the Spiritism scouting is actually getting taken out this patch. Now that I think about it, I think they're going to increase the like Spiritism PvP is not good. Let's be real. It's not good. It's you could just like wiggle out of it very easily. So I think they're going to expand the window for that. I'm not exactly sure how they're going to do it, but I thought this Spiritism change was going to happen a bit later, but I think it's going to be in this patch. Please, if it's not, I'm sorry, but I think
So removed, or they're allowing like
you
spirituals
can
PvP to exist, like that's actually gonna be possible to banish them, or is transcendental
both.
awareness not gonna be a thing?
Transitional awareness will still be a thing. You're going to be able to see like mobs, all right? And as a live, you'll be able to see spirits, but you're not going to be able to see NPCs or sorry, not NPCs, players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
If I'm not, yeah. So you'll still be able to be like, oh, there's like mobs are chasing a group, or mobs are. You just won't be able to be like, oh, there's like 16 of them or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's kind of
That's
the
better.
idea.
I like that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
better. Yeah.
Yeah, and um, like I said, I think when it comes to like spiritism, or spirit versus spirit PvP, I think they're just going to make it so it's not so cancerous and bad, where they expand the window of error. I'm not. I'll have to look it up, but it's something along those lines. Because when Henrik was like, yeah, I think we want to remove this. I'm like, well, you can't just remove it and not give them anything else. Like you can't do that. You have to give them a new mechanic, ability, something. Like you have to make the spiritism PvP better. And so I do think spiritism kind of needs a rework altogether, but I can't say how because I'll have to really look into it.
People are asking, are you going to be able to see player horses? Because you can spot groups based on their horses, some in dungeons or roaming. So that needs to make sure that gets checked too. I don't know who said that. I think La Wolf said that.
Initially, I feel like um, you probably will be able to because they're mobs. But if they're owned by a player, maybe the system will pick it up as not. So
Yeah,
I
like
will
the
have to
coding. Yeah.
yeah. So I'll have to. I'm gonna write that down. I got a lot of notes here just to make sure. But that's a good question. So yeah, it's controversial. Some people like it, some people don't. Um, Spiritism takes a lot to get into, so I could see a lot of spiritists, being like, "What the fuck," and rightfully so. But I think it will still have some use if you could see at least the mobs and stuff. But yeah,
A giant pepper mill. What? That curtain? Sorry, someone's asking. Is to block sound because my girlfriend's PC used to be on that side of the room, but now she's set up over here right next to me. So actually, that curtain has no fucking purpose. Good question.
It is the woman divider.
Oh god. Yeah, our bed actually used to be right here, up against this wall where my desk is, but we moved everything around, so it actually has no purpose. We're gonna go ahead and wrap it up here soon, guys. We've already been going for 2 hours. If people
feel
have
bad, I took over the voices. Sorry,
Oh,
Adolin
you're
and the Free
good.
Horses.
No, you're fine.
If anyone has any last questions, post it in chat. Well, if they're good questions, no offense, we'll try and go over them real quick. But
Good questions.
if anyone wants to know about Robmo's hairstyle and how he does it, you can feel free to ask.
I just blow dry it.
That's
I
just
think
blow
I have
dried?
one that hasn't been answered.
Yeah, what's up?
What's up?
How efficient, and you don't have to go into great detail, how efficient is the GM tools in terms of duping, and how do they actually show proof that things have been duped?
I can't comment on that. I can't give any hints. I could tell you with confidence is that they've improved in the last 2-3 months, and they're continuing to add more functionality. But I can't exactly go into details for obvious reasons.
But do they have them though, right?
Yes,
All right.
for like hacking and that kind of stuff. And so they they investigate quite well, in my eyes. I mean, obviously it's a manpower issue, and there are things that like flag, and but I'm not, like I said, I can't go into specifics because it's dangerous if I do, I guess.
And then one more thing, because I know he's going to be extraordinarily mad if I don't ask.
Sure.
The auction house currently
Hmm.
shows things that have been listed for the longest amount of time first.
Hmm.
Can we make it so it shows the stuff that has been listed most recent? Because generally speaking, the longer it is in the auction house, the less desirable it is. So that shouldn't be forced to the top.
Oh, just like a default.
Yeah.
Um, the doesn't the time, like you can sort it by time? Wouldn't that fix that? You're
Yeah,
just
but
asking for the
by
date.
default, it's whatever has been in there the longest. And generally speaking, whatever has been in there the longest has been in there the longest because it's undesirable or priced wrong.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's an easy thing, and it makes sense to me. So.
Poe's asking your thoughts on stamina for pets, Robmo.
Well, I, I think I think it's a good idea. Or actually make. I think what might happen with Beast Mastery and Beast Influence is that pets will have like a range, and the range won't be too big, for how far a pet can go away from its owner. So if you want your pet to go more, you'll have Beast Influence. So instead of adding like a stamina system, they're going to make it so like you have to be close-ish to your pet, so that puts you in danger, because obviously if the owner dies, the pet's kind of does nothing, right? More or less in most cases. So I'm open to either system because I do recognize how unfair, you can't lose, you won't be able to lose like a turtle chasing after you because you'll stam out, and as it currently is. So that's one of the reasons why I'm trying to push for like a small speed decrease on some of these high tier pets, as well as a small damage nerf, because it's players are playing now and they shouldn't have a bad experience. Even if they did that, pets are still very powerful, you know? If you have a full team of pet owners, like rip the other team, you know? So I think there's ways around that. But I'm open to either.
Yeah, we're
So
also missing our pet stances too, like passive, defensive, aggressive from MO1.
yeah. I think pets are powerful, but if you nerf them a bit and then gave the tamers tools, I think that would be a good middle ground, and also like give them some kind of skill based gameplay, because yeah, you know.
Yeah, I mean, just nerfing the damage they do to players would probably go a long way too. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because you can't even
Oh,
use them on bosses anymore, so it's
yeah. Someone's asking about risen Selenos. Yes, they are getting nerfed.
out
They
nerfed.
are. Let me look, see if I can
Like they're
see. I
currently
don't.
xenomorph status. Are they going down to like rabbit, chicken? What are we talking here?
I don't know if I have the exact numbers here. Let's
Will
see.
there be pre-patched pets?
From what I've been told in the past is that it should affect the non pre-patch pets. So like my assumption is maybe like when, let's say if you have a Seleno like that's out right now and you're logged out, but he's like out in the world. Actually, no, it wouldn't work like that. Now I think about it, it should just revert the damage altogether because it's part of the pet thing. So that's what I've been told. And so that's my understanding of it so far, if that makes sense.
When is
Uh,
Magic Reflect going to go back to how it was?
I don't know. I don't think it's going to. What happened was why Magic Reflect got changed in the first place was so they wanted to make Magic Reflect work with AI, and they rewrote the entire Magic Reflect um, system to kind of make it work like that and for players. And then Henrik, as the game designer, decided which spells reflect and don't. So the game designer made those choices.
And do you understand that having something on you that is objectively not hurting you and only giving you benefits is not in any way, shape, or form balanced?
I do I do think it kind of changes the way everything is. Yes. So and you're talking about like healing through it, right? Specifically?
Yes, because if you have something on you with no disbenefits that only give you benefits, that is objectively unbalanced.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard one suggestion in the past, or maybe make it so like greater heals reflect or something, but I think it should be one or the other. Really, I don't think there should be a half measure there. So I'm personally, I'm kind of in the middle, like I said, but I do objectively, I think it is pretty strong as is. So the whole idea before was to strategize who you reflect, and you don't you only heal when the reflect's gone. So I do get it. But I could double check with Henrik. Like I said, I can I can like I said I don't only fight, like I always like to take old issues or old things that aren't really on the docket and give like the devil's advocate kind of side of it, right? Just to kind of challenge it and the kind of just like rethink the idea, because like if the game designer is working on necromancy, he might not be thinking about healing in the moment, and he hasn't thought about healing in a while, as an example. So it's a good way to kind of get that like blood going and be like, oh yeah, maybe that's not good. But that's why it was changed, and the game designer was just like, this, not this. You know what I mean? So kind of like mental projectile doesn't reflect. That's a conscious choice. So yeah,
Why?
Someone's asking if we'll ever
no idea.
get a home TP button to like your player house, not like your home set. So like your player house would be like a separate TP option, maybe, because like you
No
can't
idea.
have a priest at a house, for example. Is why.
Yeah, no, none of the house, but like a stronghold one. Um, there's been no talk. So if that
Mhm.
answers the question, it's not come up.
Would you like to see that, or do you think we have enough TP already?
I'm bad answer again. I see the benefits of both and the cons of both. So it's like having the home priest, like a guild home priest could be really beneficial for like getting to the content faster and setting up faster and things like that. If you have like a home, like let's say you have a favorite town, and like it would benefit me. I have a stronghold out. Well, my guild has a stronghold in the GK-ish area, and then I do a lot of my stuff in Fabrinum, so that would be beneficial for me, opposed to having to strategically pick where I want to home priest. But at the same time, um, in some cases, I could see that being where it might be too advantageous. But again, we could argue about the merits of it back and forth. I'm not against the idea, but I'm not like, let's go, if that makes sense.
Um, has there been any talk of any changes to tower shields at all?
I'm going to ask them to nerf them a bit. It's a little strong. They are. We tested a bunch, and again, it's there's thousands of combinations essentially, and we a lot of the testing too, when it comes to like just in general, we focus a lot on making sure things work, and then we do balance and stuff, and then the developers also do a lot of the balance stuff on their own. um,
Do
and go ahead.
do you think the raw stats need to be nerfed, like the stam, the weight? What is like? Where do you think you guys are gonna try to target?
To me, if it were up to me, like purely, I just think that they need to be a little less, like um, their damage reduction maybe just be lowered a bit. I don't know
Okay.
at what rate, but like you have, it's one of those things where like you can make a steel shield on a like a already like an Ogmere heavy boy, and he's already pretty strong and beefy, and now you just made him stronger and beefy. I mean, obviously you get the disadvantage of the one-handed swords, the one-handed weapons, but they're powerful in their own right, you know. So there's that.
Uh,
Nate, you see naked tower mages,
Yeah.
you
yeah.
know?
The
My
naked tower
question.
mage with a tower shield on the back.
My
Yeah.
question is, why does the equipment hit take both the stats from the chest piece and the tower shield, or like shields in general?
I don't know. I don't know the why. I
If anything,
imagine.
it should left arm or something.
Yeah, there's a
Well,
couple.
why from the armor at all? I don't. You're only hitting the shield. You're not hitting the armor. Because that makes it more OP. Like if you hit someone with a tower shield, they have no chest piece on. You do more damage than if they have any kind of chest piece on because it takes stats from both.
Um, I don't have an answer. I can ask. Yeah, I wrote it down
Okay.
because I've never. Yeah, like I've known people have tested it, and so like yeah, if you know if you don't have a chest piece on, your shield will do less for you. That kind of idea.
I mean that
But
could fix the whole thing because
yeah, that could
it will
fix the whole
make them
thing.
take more damage. It doesn't, if it's not registering the chest piece at all. I don't know why it would. It doesn't even make sense.
Yeah,
So
and so I'll put that together because I don't know if it's like a code restriction or something they overlooked or if that was the design. Um, because like thematically too, I'm not sure if I were to wear, like a plate mail on my chest and have a shield and I get attacked on the shield, I don't know if my chest armor or even arguably my arm armor should affect that at all, really. So thematically, I don't think it even makes sense. So who knows?
I would think wearing any kind of armor would actually hurt you more because you
Maybe.
can't breathe
Yeah.
as well. So taking that impact, you just wouldn't be able to breathe as well if you're wearing, especially like heavy armor.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. Um,
Should
I,
mages ever be able to use tower shields? I think anyone should be able to use tower shields if they build for it. So if they want to wear a 6 kg shield and they're willing to take the loss of the mana regen, I think they should be able to. I think we should always promote variants of builds if the players are willing to do the pros and the cons of each. But obviously, people will lean towards the most effective builds, and that's fine too, right? Um, that I never think variety should be not encouraged. I guess that's a
yeah, I
plain
mean it's a
answer. But
sandbox game at the end of the day. So like
yeah,
you
if
should be able to
someone
wear what
wants
you
to
want.
be a arcane archer fat mage that doesn't have a horse and whatever, they could do what they want, but that's their game and they play that way,
Oh, this made me think about it now we're talking about like builds and stuff. Um, Someone's gonna hate me in chat, I'm sure, but I wanted to know: are they planning to like rework the armor system in general? Like, for instance, if you're a foot fighter, there's no excuse to not be wearing heavy armor, for example. Like, and these are just examples. Don't hate me, whatever. But like maybe light armor, add like stats or movement speed increase baseline, and then heavy armor, like you're slower but you keep the defensiveness, or like, but they have like you can add magic resist to like light armor. You know what I mean? Like different things for different armor classes, like the light, medium, heavy. Like, are they talking about that at all, or no? Not really.
Not as much recently. When it comes to speed in general, obviously a lot of people are like, why are heavy armor people running at the same speed as light armor people? And Henrik's very careful, or he says he's very careful when it comes to trying to affect like the speed of combat, because the second you change the speed of, let's say, heavy armor users enough, everyone's just going to use lighter armor, right? I mean, yeah, now everyone's using heavy armor for the most part, unless you're a mage or you're a masochist or something. But um, uh, yeah, I don't think there's been talks of like major reworks. Next patch, unless they back it up, I know they're making some slight adjustments to weapon speeds to allow a little bit more variance. Not quite the same level when they made everything way too fast before, but I think they made some adjustments and we're in the middle of testing it now. I don't like, I'll have to see what it really affects. It's just they're changing the swing speed just ever so slightly on certain types of weights or weapons. So there are changes that they're looking at because they want people to use more variants of weapons and hilts and stuff, but they also don't want to change the meta so much that it causes problems. I know that kind of went off track, but in terms of armor, there isn't like a specific plan as of yet. You know,
Someone brought up a
because
good point in chat. Once they add heat, that's going to change anyways. So because then not everyone's going to want to wear heavy armor if you're in the desert.
yeah, if they decide to do that, and well, I don't think there's one way or the other. I don't think they're gonna not do it, but that will affect it because as people probably remember, for those who were around, we had the heat stat. It affected the stamina in certain most parts of Merland, and it they fixed it by removing it, and the stam was better for all around. To ask about the weapon speeds, but yeah. I hope that answers the question as best I can.
Yep. I mean, I just want to know if they were looking at it. Doesn't sound like they are right now. Could be in the future. Who knows? That's fine.
Yeah, in the future when they're making new stuff, I'm going to try to inf- advise them to maybe caution things on just being safe and making it a little underpowered versus overpowered in some cases. That way they can make very small adjustments versus these like massive reductions. It doesn't feel as good in a lot of cases. That could be with anything, with pets or
Well,
armors or
the thing is, like, because the patches were so far in between, I know they have a new system for it to get hot fixes, but it would be like, as someone knew, like, if they change this, okay, it's not getting fixed for like a month. So now you have like to deal with it for at least like, a month to whatever it was. You know what I mean? So having those hot fixes being able to be done, I'm sure will help in the future with things. So, but yeah, I mean, making small changes versus large changes is probably good 99% of the time anyway. So
yeah. And I mean, I don't know if they'll ever hot fix balance changes unless it's like something that's like a huge mistake or oversight. But a hot fixing will probably be like left to broken mechanics, or exploits or maybe holes in the floor, that kind of thing. But yeah.
he's
Any
asking
other?
when do we
Go
know when
ahead.
sieging will come? But I know you don't know.
I don't. Um, I mean, internally, I've seen more and more a little bit talks about it. Henrik's been a little bit more open about it with like I've seen designs of certain like siege weapons. So I think we are closer. I actually feel like it's probably going to be our first big um like patch drop with this patch project thing. That's just me guessing, by the way. So like they're going to continue doing like these like polished patches and these like restructuring of certain mechanics that are fundamentally not working well. But then when we do like our first really big content patch, I assume that they're going to do sieging and TC first. But who knows? Maybe they'll blindside me and be like, "We're doing Beast Mastery or something." I don't know.
Was there any server optimization is going to happen before the TC patch? Because right now the game can't handle TC as it is. We had a
Well,
110 versus 110 fight in Meduli, I don't know, a week ago, and the
Yeah,
server stopped working.
yeah,
So
yeah.
how are we supposed to have a siege if we can't have 240 people in one node without the game breaking?
Well, they
Um,
did collect the data, and they do look at that. There has been, they always make little changes. I think it was last patch or the last patch or the patch before, they did some fundamental changes to the foundation of the code. Um, and obviously, the goal of the game is to support these big battles, whether or not that means they realign nodes or um, whatever. They are optimizing it. So there was a bug that we actually just fixed, and I think it's good. When you would, so for housing, for example, every time a house, a keep, a stronghold, whatever would take damage, it would actually like refresh the info on the server, which caused like significant like frame drop or lag, depending on how you looked at it. So like if someone's like picking at the keep at GK, for example, it would affect the whole node. That's been eliminated. We fixed that. So that I know that's not quite what you were asking, but they are looking at that because I was like, well, if you guys want TC, you better fix this because people are going to be sieging down buildings, and if you every time it takes damage, as if it's gonna crack the server, you're gonna be in bad shape.
Oh man, I'm so sad I didn't ask. Ritual tables and houses, bro. What are we doing, man?
Oh man, I wish I knew.
Come on,
So
killing me.
I was a little upset that when Necromancy came out, we didn't have it. I'm pretty sure there's no in-game other than the Tupilak table in the dungeon itself, that there's not like in-game ritual tables that are just placed in the world, at least as even as an option. When it comes to the ritual tables, I could ask again, but my understanding is they're waiting to do the pet house mesh.
Okay, if they're
Which-
waiting for that, at least make the ritual tables not one-time use. Make them last like an hour, like portable crushers, grinders. Anything than what we have now. Stackable,
No, I know.
also
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
You know
Well,
what I mean?
they're doing batches of these points of interest and stuff. Like I do think they should have I couldn't give a correct number, but they should have ones in the world that, exist that you could go to and reuse even as a limit. And yeah, I'll ask about that because I mean, sometimes the pets come out of the houses and stuff. And like that's a big problem, right? Like I understand with the, ritualism, it's a rare thing, it's an MMO, it's supposed to take some time to level up, but it is pretty painful when you have to buy all these tables, transport the tables, then reuse them and that kind of thing. So having an actual ritual table that you can put in your house would eliminate a lot of the pain.
I mean, even if you did that, if you guys did like a poll and be like, would you guys want us to release ritual tables in houses, knowing that your pets could get stuck versus just not having it all? I promise you, people are gonna vote to just put it in, just so we can level ritualism in our homes. Then we still have the tables we can take anywhere and summon the pet, and it'll be fine. Like we just need it in our homes just to level. Then we can
Yeah.
do the actual pet we want anywhere else because we have those tables. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That would be
No, for
better than
sure.
what we have.
I will ask. It's I mean, I don't want players have to wait months and months and months for it, Like it's just like I don't know when the pet nav mesh is. I've asked like why can't we work on this? Why can't we like I kind of want all the house bugs to be fixed and stuff, but it all comes down to manpower of like we have about 5 programmers, and so they all have their tasks, and we have to, we don't want people sitting on their thumbs. And yeah, so it's something I could at least ask, so at least I can have a better answer for next time someone asks me. But yeah,
Why don't we just do polls in general?
um, I think polls could be a great idea. I think the only problem is that you want to make sure that as much as the player base can have access to it as possible. They have plans or the ambition to do something like a feedback system in game.
Yeah, like
Why?
RuneScape. I was gonna say that earlier. I forgot. Have it like in RuneScape. They vote for like the next thing that they want to see, or like maybe like like in-game policy change. Or I don't know about policy changes, but like in-game content, like what the players would want to see next. But make sure you do it in-game, not in a Discord where anyone can join and vote. But make
Yeah.
people log in, one vote unique
Yeah.
to each account, type thing.
You can have like a dude standing in the middle of town, just be like, "Come to vote here."
Mhm.
Yeah, with like town criers or whatever. There's a lot of systems that, you know, I'd like that. I think a feedback system, even if we like not rushed it, but you know what I mean, like kind of prioritized it, could be very good. The beauty of the game being a long-term game is we're still very early in its release, its life, and that is a great platform for change. Because the foundation we're still only kind of in a foundational stage. So, yeah, I think that's a good idea. Now, to keep in mind, again, uh, the developers aren't necessarily bound by polls. even within the game. But I do think it would be a great tool because obviously the players play the game, they engage it. That's
I
the
mean, you
blood.
could put a disclaimer in there. It would be more so that the developers can get honest feedback on what active players are wanting to see
No,
coming up in the
exactly.
future. You know what I mean?
Exactly, and active players, in my opinion, are the most important. Really, we're playing the game now. You want to give them an experience now, and you want to, their feedback's valuable, right? So you don't want, the game to be determined by, some new kid on the block who came from Call of Duty or some other fucking game,
Yeah, fuck those
whatever.
Call of Duty nerds. Fuck them.
Yeah. That's funny, actually. One of my buddies is the lead character artist of Call of Duty, so I get a lot of Call of Duty stuff from him.
Oh, nice.
Hmm.
All right, Adolin or FreeHorses, do you guys have any more questions, or you good to wrap it
Nah,
up?
should be good.
All right, cool. We'll go ahead and wrap it up here, guys. We've been going for 2.5 hours now, so
Yeah.
this is one of the longer podcasts that I do typically.
Yeah, next time if you have me on, I could be more quiet, but I appreciate the questions from both
mean-
you guys, all three guys, sorry. And like I said, I'm always open to take feedback, whatever it's about. So
It's kind of hard to not turn this into an interview. Like, people called it an interview in chat, and I'm like, it's not an interview, it's a podcast. But then people want to know, they want to ask you questions because you have the information.
I have information. No, I
Mhm.
expected as much. I just kind of, like I said, it wasn't my intention to, take it over from the others if we wanted to talk about guild stuff or PvP politics or whatever, whatever it may be. So
I gotcha.
God, it was a bunch of dum-dums.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, here we go.
Uh-oh. But
No, not worth the response. But I actually do got to go, guys.
Yep.
Thanks for having me.
Yep, thank you for coming on,
Super
Adam.
fun.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank
no, it was
you,
actually a
thank
good
you.
time. See you guys
Thank
later.
you.
See ya.
I love you.
All right. Thank you,
Oh.
Robmo, FreeHorses. I appreciate it, guys. I'll let you guys know if you guys ever want to come back on, let me know, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, I'm down pretty much any time. So you just ask me, and if I'm available, I'll probably say yes.
I think you said you
Send me
do.
my work schedule.
I think you said you do D&D Saturdays. Is that correct?
It depends. Our D&D, one of my buddy got married, and I put all of our D&D in like a delay. So I think I'm playing next Sunday. So
Okay,
so
gotcha.
anytime really. Yeah, just anytime. If you let me know, and if I'm available, I'll come on.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you, FreeHorses, as well.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep. See you guys. Have a good one.
Goodbye.
See ya.
All right, boys. Another successful podcast. I want to go ahead and take a moment real quick to thank everybody who followed. There's kind of a lot, so I'm just going to rush through these real quick. Mr. Red Target, appreciate it. Baratox, Baluki, Riken, Booney. My brother resubscribed tier 1. Appreciate you. Love you. J45K with the raid. Appreciate it. Eug Techniques. I don't know if I said that right. Thank you. Tree Lorn, Noneb. I don't know how to say that name. Fun Kit. I don't know. Avera TV. Thank you. Like your streams. Indecisive. Thank you. Badger. Kool-Aid's guy. Lieutenant Herpes. The Howler. JT Rigatone. Thank you. Thank you. I'm gonna turn on the sound alerts and stuff, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be really AIDS. Oh yeah. That is so loud. Okay, instant mistake. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and skip that. Sorry, guys. Anyways, thank you, Hustla, Pekka, Gratz Hopper, Xavier Mortal. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Again, thank you guys for watching. I'll let you guys know when we're doing our next podcast. So I'm gonna go ahead and post this on YouTube, and I'll post it on the forums. But again, thank you guys for watching, and have a good one.
Yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, I pump off when I hear people say I cannot. I get off to the thought of proving everyone wrong, I won't stop to the top, so you better back off and get lost. I'ma stay loud, stay proud, never running out, never heading south. I'll be spreading out, call it word of mouth, can't pin me down, I'll be getting loud. You can have it doubts, not what I'm about, have your fucking cloud. It be raining now, I keep making sound, go another round, bitch I'm legend bound, can't stop me now. You don't wanna fuck with me. A slow burn like a disease. Just tell me that I can and show you things that you couldn't believe. Just tell me that I can. 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 Cause I just wanna hear it out your mouth, yeah. Give me fuel, it's a tool that I use to go ahead and run my fucking mouth, yeah. I take shots, I take loss, I make shots, I miss locks. I tell you get big box, you get yachts, you swing locks and pop off a big shot. I ain't done chasing, got big dreams, bigger things, impatient. Who's at the top think they need replacement? Who's at the top think I'm gonna erase it? Face it, I don't give up quick, I don't give up shit, I won't give up this. Cause I know that I want it, know that I'm on it, I'll make it, I promise.